This is wrong. This is so wrong.
I'm sorry.
Good luck, guys.
Okay, so I said like 8 time in chat, by the way. Like, this is not a good time for me to debate in like maybe 10:15 I can, but I'm a little tied up at this exact moment. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't want to be a buzzkill, but
okay. Beth, I need somebody else. So
She says, then quit.
Well, let's pick another pair, and we'll get Cleaner and Mel here in a couple of minutes. Wait, did Mel drop off? What?
It looks that way.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be back in like whatever in the 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on
Look
to the
at
next.
that. It turns out you may be right, Grid. I just used some form of brainwashing to get rid of Mel without even talking.
Mind control.
Yeah, okay. I will pick. The fight I want to see right now is I want to see Grumple Stillskin. I kind of want to see Grumple Stillskin versus Duck.
Oof.
On firearms.
I would be so honored to take a two-way debate with Grumple. Is he awake?
How do you feel about that, Grumple?
Yesterday he crashed out for 12 hours on his own stream. Not joking.
Because he was so tired.
Yeah.
Grumple.
This is basically what the debate would be like too.
Grumple.
Folks.
No, he was there.
I want to hear it.
That didn't happen
yesterday, I want to hear it, folks. Let's
there
go.
He is. He's back.
Duck. No, that didn't happen yesterday. No, that didn't happen yesterday. I mean, you might have mentioned sometime other in the past, but in this past week, no.
I was singing liberal lullabies to your chat, by the way, while you were sleeping on stream.
Weird.
What day was that?
2 days ago, right. Wednesday, I think.
So
after the Bender game show.
So you guys good?
It was when the show you crashed out on.
You guys?
No, I ended that one. No, I ended that one. It didn't happen. That didn't happen.
For the 2A debate.
Okay, yeah, no, great.
Okay,
fire it up.
All right, so the NFA is illegitimate and should cease to exist.
Yep.
What is the National
Firearms Act of 1934? That's what he's talking about.
Established ATF.
It establishes the ATF. I don't. The NFA.
Well, I mean,
so it was passed by Congress. It regulates the sawn-offs in suppressors. Yep, and sort of funnels some of those crimes to similar enforcement.
Like short, barrel restrictions: 18 for shotguns, 16 for rifles on the inch length of barrels.
Yeah. So they don't pass their own laws, right? So we can't say that. We would say that the administration itself is.
Well, don't make the debate now. Is that something that you want to do? Is what Grid's asking, I think.
I don't know anything about it. If there's something less granular, I would prefer that without being too picky. But I'd take it. I would take that topic. Yeah, for sure.
Firearms should be unrestricted because everyone has a basic right to self-defense.
Yep, I'm on the affirmative.
Firearms
He's ready.
Firearms should not be restricted
at all.
Oh.
At all. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. I would argue against that.
Okay. Great. All right.
Got it. Got him, boys. Here we go.
Here we go. All right, and this is a argument near and dear to my heart. So don't fuck up. Because all right, Grumple, you have the affirmative, and you have 1 minute to make your position and start.
And scene. Okay, so the right to self-defense is a fundamental human right. if you believe anything other than your own body, something had to create this. If you believe in the Big Bang, maybe it's not an argument for you. But where did the Big Bang come from? Something had to make it happen, right? You have unalienable rights endowed by your creator that you can defend yourself, and that means both in a personal self-defense situation and against a tyrannical government. And a firearm is the tool that equalizes people that may or may not be on equal footing otherwise. This is not even debatable or assailable. Everything I've said is just facts so far, and you're welcome to try, but I mean, good luck. So if, just as the second part, I know I have about 15 seconds left. If pew-pews are banned, then only criminals have pew-pews.
Yep, there you go. All right.
So there's no defense anymore. And I see my rest of my negative time left.
Yeah. Hey, stop talking. All right, you ready, Duck?
Yep.
Is that good, Grid? You like that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Duck, you ready?
Yeah, I want all 60 seconds.
Okay, you ready?
I hope so.
Go.
All right, so we heard an argument from Grumple that we hear from dogmatic 2A amendment folks who don't want to hear history. Maybe they have a religious bend to them. And the fact of the matter is you don't need natural law to establish a society. In fact, people as rational decision makers enter into a social contract. So Grumple's point, because I went second and can already destroy this, and you should as well. Why are we talking about the Big Bang if you don't need it? That's the main point. The second point is that every place, including the United States, has a complex developmental history, including urban centers and other places where violent crimes and individual rights take special priority. There's a reason we regulate firearms today, and that reason will carry on into the future. That's my core argument, and I'm so confident I'll end my statement there.
Okay, that's good because he had 5 seconds left. All right, gentlemen, I want a nice, clean fight. No low blows. No eye gouging. Let's keep it nice. Ready? Go.
Wait, Grumple, do you want to hit?
Yep. Wait, no.
Kick us off.
Do you mean by a hit? Do you mean hit you? Or
no, I just wanted to take a hit of my vape before we got started.
But... No, that's pretty gay, dude. Sorry.
All good.
You mentioned in urban centers, that's the place where people need the defense the most. Urban centers are the worst for violence, where people are defenseless because of egregious violations of their natural human rights to defend themselves, like Chicago, Baltimore, and anywhere in these major urban centers have very large violations of your human right to defend yourself by restricting tools that you might want to. Why do you hate single mothers, Duck, is the question.
I don't. I think girls with guns is great, but I think people in urban centers
or
a single mom. Let me finish my point. A single mother who decides she wants to carry a 5 round, whatever it is, pew pew, and that's the level of training she wants to commit to. Because they're compact, it's titanium, it's whatever it is. It doesn't really matter that much.
What?
More so than anything else. But that's the type of person that should think about that we do have absolute restrictions on certain firearms, and it is because of the nature of what a firearm is, and it's because of the nature of what violence is. Those are things that, especially in places with high gun crime rates, which is what you don't want to admit exists, we should be taking on stronger arguments to
wait, hang on. Don't want to admit exists. Yeah, I stated that, and then you said something about titanium 5 round, like presumably revolvers. What was that point about? But I already said high crime areas, like high violence and crime areas, which is urban centers.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that if I was a rational decision maker, and even if I was thinking about my own self-defense and my own protection of my own physical body and my family's, I would be more worried about people that have this wild idea that you need high-capacity magazines, that you need silencers, that you can't have technology detecting firearms.
What is a high-capacity magazine? Can you define that real quick? What is do you mean standard capacity magazines? Because you said high-capacity magazines. What do you mean by that?
I did say so. I mean, if I'm a normal person, I would think, well, it's not 5. It's not 5 rounds, right? Isn't it? what is it, 17?
Well, it depends on what you have. Like a Glock 19 is 15 rounds. A Glock 17 is 17 rounds. An FN57 is 20 rounds. As these are just semi-automatic pistols. That's the standard magazine capacity.
Yeah, but there's a reason that law enforcement officers, and there was a shooting 1.5 miles away from my house, by the way, the other day. And so
This is
I
a
would
non
just
sequitur.
bring that up.
Well,
No, this isn't
okay.
a non sequitur, because if you actually have sound detection systems in cities, and people that lawfully own weapons or guns or decide not to do so, are looking
if you
at
have sound
data.
If you have sound detection systems in cities, like more surveillance of the populace, that's what your
because
argument
you're
is.
defending that. You're defending
right
just to recall, you're defending the position that someone should be able to go off and shoot 40. There's not a law that stops someone from shooting 45 rounds into the air. Maybe they're not allowed to do that, but they're allowed to have the tools
Most
and
urban
the
centers
ammunition to do that.
Hang on,
They're
if you're
allowed
not
to carry
aware,
a silenced
most
pistol
cities have ordinances against discharging a firearm within city limits, unless it's for defense purposes or like a justified reason.
Oh,
Thanks for the follow.
This is the storytelling again. First, we have the Big Bang. Secondly, we have God, and thirdly, we have all these magnificent self-defense scenarios, which people might not be able to manage until they're in that situation.
That's the
Wouldn't
only
you
exception.
Want to know what you're walking
if you discharge a firearm into the air, you're committing a crime in most cities.
That's not the
giving
point
you
at
that.
all. Yeah,
that's the point you just made. I was agreeing with you. Except it sounded like you didn't know that that's crime. In most cities.
My position is that you shouldn't.
If you go and shoot pop in the air, you are committing a crime in most urban areas.
Right, and you're committing, in some sense.
It sounded like you didn't know that. Okay.
So if you want, let's go to Grumple's. Let's go to Grumple Land. If we go to Grumple Land,
you're welcome.
And I'm talking about not just law, but moral law, in a universe that's ordered and designed by God or chemistry. And so there's some justification that you should have a weapon that's designed to commit mass casualty events. That's designed to commit fatal damage.
That's not what any firearm is designed for, is to commit mass casualty events. They are designed to punch holes at distance. No, they're designed to punch holes at distance.
That's not true. They're designed to
put
punch
holes in things at a distance.
That's not true.
Yes,
you think
it's a wireless hole puncher.
You think police officers have a wireless hole puncher and a taser? A human, an EDM or rave excitement device.
Okay.
That's BS.
Dude. A rave excitement device? Get off your Molly, dude.
No, you get off your Molly, dude.
That was
doesn't even know.
Painful, honestly. All right, Gibbs, you ready? Or you look confused?
I'm ready. Yeah, that Grumple stop. I hands down. That was a whooping Grumple one.
Grumple one, okay. Anson Knowles.
Yeah, so Grumple, your opening was all word salad, man. I don't know what the heck was going on with that.
It was a little bit.
It made like a kale smoothie look like a Michelin star dish, man. It was awful. I'm gonna say, Duck, you had 8 points. You made a lot of really consistent, arguments, and you were really good at combating Grumple's bad faith arguments. I gave Grumple 3 points, so Duck, you definitely won that. You took it away. Grump, I'm very disappointed in you.
I felt bad about it.
All right, so Tyler.
All right, so openings. Grumple's right to self-defense argument, he did say it could be God, it could be the Big Bang, no matter how you came to this conclusion. And then Duck went into basically critiquing just the Big Bang, like he was focusing on that or focusing on God, where what Grumple was actually saying was the opposite. You don't have to focus on these things to accept this. And Duck said, well, actually, social contract law could also accept this, so that's irrelevant, but like that was included in his jack of all trades. So your introduction against his point kind of actually like proved it, but then your second argument was much stronger about civil protections. And I think that went pretty undefeated through most of this. It seemed like Grump, you went into talking about surveillance for some reason as a comeback. Like that might score points with the audience, but it left his point unaddressed.
No, he made a point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I just the fact that you got lost in his point and not just hammered down on yours, and kind of like it let him take it into his realm on you is what I'm saying. And Duck, you attacked him for using hypotheticals in a debate. I think that whole line of argument about the Big Bang, you should just shed that shit because your other argument was so much stronger. You took the debate with your second argument. I think if you focused on that more, you would have bodied him, and it was a lot closer because you did it. But you still took. I think Duck took it.
Oh,
I feel bad. I have so much fun talking to Grumple, so it was a pleasure, sir.
it's been like all week we've been doing this.
So hold on. You gave it to Grumple, Tyler? Really?
No, I gave it to Duck. I say Grumple didn't counter his strongest point.
On your own panel, Grid. On your own panel, get bodied.
You know what's interesting is that I had that reversed, but that's okay. I felt like that Grumple, Duck, I didn't hear you address any of Grumple's points, honestly. You were rambling about magazine capacity and rambling about some other things. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe we were listening to different arguments, or maybe I just wasn't.
According to the judges, I didn't get it, Grid. I mean, you heard what I said, which I honestly didn't do the best of my own.
I recused myself from this, but I didn't actually hear Duck. I mean, and he seemed really confused about the Big Bang thing. Tyler, you said he addressed it, but what I heard was him like attacking the Big Bang thing, not really kind of addressing it.
You know, he actually complimented it. Yeah,
he didn't actually hear the what Grumple said was it doesn't matter. And
I agree.
It doesn't matter how you get there. This is an inalienable right, and Duck went off on some random tangent that had nothing to do with people being able.
That's what I said. If he said that argument, it would have gone much better. That was completely pointless and a waste of time. The thing is, when Grumple brought up urban centers,
if we could pause just a moment, and Melanie, you're hot micing your mechanical keyboard right now.
Oh yeah. So Grumple said that in the beginning that like these are the people that are in most danger of
I muted and it wasn't me.
And then it was you. And then when Duck said back to it, yes, I agree these people need guns, but I'm making sure these regulations are in place so just them get guns and not everybody because of gun crime. I feel like that's how he addressed that argument right at the beginning. And then
so didn't he concede that to me at that point? I mean,
no, he said you're right about your example, but your example doesn't make the massive point. He granted you something in good faith and said that his regulations.
I totally bodied that point though. I think
I bodied it. I think you did
because
you bodied the point that I made.
Because I don't like calling out stuff like word salad. I hate saying word salad to people, but I got that opportunity tonight, and so I'd like to thank the audience. I'd like to thank the judges. I'd like to thank Grumple's expensive AV setup. Everyone involved to make this happen.
Duck, this is the first time I've ever voted positive for you. I think in 5 debates.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he felt bad for you. Anyway, Grumple, we'll see you.
Good time, everybody.
Back, man.
Maybe we come back. Maybe not. Y'all have a great night.
He's just making progress. Every week he gets better at the format because he seems more long-winded, set for like a 1 to 2 hour debate. Like you're getting better as time goes on.
Yeah. All right. Well, and then there were fewer. All right. So we had a debate. Melanie versus Clover. And that was going to be, I'm assuming, was a gun debate.
Beth put in the chat she wants Glenn versus Mel, must be feminism or red pill topic. So that's two things that she played.
Down for that. Glenn, you good?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm down for that. All right, let's make it happen, guys. So let's get everybody in the back. By the way, guys, I know you spend a lot of time in the back, and I apologize. I don't have any like cool posters or music for you to listen to or anything. You're just gonna have to listen to the debates and be cool. And so here we go. It's animated Glenn versus Mel. And the topic has to be based in feminism or the red pill. So, what do you got, Mel? What do you want to debate?
I could argue. It depends. I'll let Glenn decide if he wants to take the more affirmative side or the negative side. Uh, Either that red pill hurts men or feminism hurts men.
How about red pill and feminism have the same outcome?
Well, I disagree with that, so sure.
Okay. All right. Red pill and feminism have the same outcome. Glenn, you have the affirmative, and we're going to dial in a minute here, and we'll get this rolling. All right. You ready, Glenn?
Yeah.
All right. Starting.
So, red pill and feminism do have the same outcome. When you have women not wanting to be in relationships, you have men avoiding marriages like it's the plague, and relationships. Both parties think the other one is their enemy. You have women that are opting out. They think they could do everything that a man could do. Then you got men thinking that women could do that men could do everything that women could do. That's why we got Mel here. This is a perfect example of red pill and feminism leading into androgynous minds and people just not wanting to be in relationships because of the divide between these two. They both want to capitalize on promiscuity, but none of them are about repairing or restoring the nuclear family. What is needed is patriarchy. That's why both of these, red pill and feminism, are one of the same bird, two different wings.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right, Mel, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
So, hello, folks. Today we are here. I am here with Glenn Lawrence, who I'm glad is here, and thank you, Grit, for having me to debate the idea that red pill and feminism have the same ideologies. I have to make this super quick, so we're just going to go through this rapid fire. Glenn said something about women not wanting to be in relationships because of feminism and men not wanting to get married. That's ridiculous on both sides. I think since red pill wants men to dominate women, which is kind of what you said, red pill is way more in favor with what you want, whereas women or feminism wants gender equality. Red pill does not want women to do what men can do, whereas in some ways feminism does. And you said what is needed is patriarchy. Well, again, I would say red pill seems to agree with that because red pill takes issue with the idea of feminism dominating. Sorry, time check?
7 seconds.
Okay, well, I'm done then.
Okay. All right. Well, that was good. All right. Ready, Glenn? Ready,
Yep.
Mel?
Yeah.
All right.
So
5 minutes now.
When you have red pill saying that marriage is not worth it anymore for men, the risk is not worth it. You also got women saying that if they were going to repeal the no fault divorce laws, that women should not be getting married anymore. So they're both saying the same thing. They're both saying that marriage is not worth the risk, just for different reasons.
Well,
So,
red pill has a lot of things wrong.
The outcome is still the same.
Well, red pill, first of all, has a lot of things wrong about marriage. So for one thing, red pill seems to.
Feminism. That's irrelevant.
Yeah, I'm going to address that.
I'm not arguing red pill. I'm saying they have the same outcome.
But your equivocation takes for granted what red pill's wrong about, which is like for something like, say, you go to divorce court and you have to decide over the child.
Have the same outcome at the end of the day. Both parties are not wanting to get married. They're both trying to capitalize on promiscuity.
Glenn, I need a chance to respond.
They're both destroying the nuclear family. So they're not.
Okay, I get it. You have made those points in your introduction. I do plan to address them. So when like, for example, red pill erroneously claims that when you go to the divorce court, that it'll side with the women. That's not what feminism wants, by the way. Feminism wants equality of the sexes. That way men and women have equal outcomes.
They don't want equality of the sexes.
And I don't think you understand what feminism is. And I don't think you're actually attacking feminism.
If feminism did want equality of the sexes, then why don't I see women marching and protesting for to be forced to have to sign up for the selective service, or to be forced to not get the odds of being considered the weak or the innocent victim when it's domestic violence, even though we have stats that show that women are more violent than men overall. So when you commit domestic violence. So
you're making multiple points, Glenn.
Why don't they argue for those points? Why don't they argue for the same punishment?
So first of all, I don't think it's part of men's rights to advocate that you should be part of the selective service. I think people are generally against that on par with American freedoms and liberties. I'm not going to lie, I lost you on this further points because you're kind of just rapid fire the gish galloping. But
I'm not doing anything. I'm just pointing out there's multiple things that women are not protesting against that they are unequally take advantage of because they're not equal to men.
Yeah, they're still fighting for women's rights and equality for women's side of things. Men have way more power and control to fight for these things. You're the ones who need to actually have a coherent men's right movement that doesn't just get things wrong and then get mad about feminism.
Anyway, it's not even on the prompt. You're going down a rabbit hole. I'm saying that feminism and red pill, the way that it is right now, comes out to the same outcome.
So fundamentally speaking,
doesn't support nuclear family. It doesn't help build families back together. It doesn't bring men and women back together again at all.
But fundamentally speaking, you're taking for granted that they're the same thing along the lines that, like, you think that feminism doesn't want equality of the sexes. Name one feminist who said that they don't want equality of the sexes as an end goal, as an ends. Because
they want to destroy the nuclear family.
Who said that?
Oh, I can tell you, Kate. Kate, I got her name right here. Hold on, I got her damn.
Okay, so one of the problems with the nuclear family, right? And you did say that before. So my
nuclear family, there's no problem with the nuclear family.
Well, that's not true. For one thing, it divides labor, and it's
wrong with
along the lines of sexes.
Same household, and mom
have you never met
with the kids? What's wrong with that? I think that's like typically the best for children.
Have you never met a strong woman before, man? Glenn, sorry.
Have I met a strong woman? As strong as in what? I mean, there's some
physically,
strong women in the
just
gym.
Physically strong. Sure. I've met plenty. Have you met weak men?
Yep, I've met weak men too.
Have you met women?
Even the weak men are still stronger than the strong women. So,
I would disagree. I've met plenty of weak men who would not be stronger than the strong women who I've known.
I've competed and I've lifted with them. I'm pretty sure I have a better.
You got 1 minute. So as a closing statement, I think that division of labor within the nuclear family takes for granted that there are no such thing as women who are stronger than men and who would be better in a physical worker market. Physical labor workforce is what I meant to say. Sorry.
Well, I mean, we already know that women cannot physically do the same things that men can do at the same capacity that men.
I've known a female construction worker.
So just because you know one doesn't mean she's actually doing any construction. She most of the time, like those are the ones.
That's what she said she did.
Holding the sign that says "Be cautious."
No, she said she operated the heavy machinery and stuff.
You know what? She probably also said that she didn't suck any dick either to get the job, but she probably.
I didn't ask her.
I'm just saying.
Well, then men probably do a lot of dick sucking too to get jobs.
When you have the outcome of it is where both parties are not bringing any men and women and family back together, then they're one of the same bird. They thrive off each other.
Well, equality of the sexes, both sides should be able to suck dick or eat pussy to get their job.
Oh, okay. We've heard enough about sucking cock, so that's fine. Okay. Who's going first?
I can take it if need be.
Go ahead.
Okie dokie. So that started out interesting. The introductions were both good. You guys both kept on prompt, made good enough points. Glenn, you went a little overboard. I feel like you had a lot of things to defend. I'm kind of surprised you actually hit most of your points in your arguments here. Mel, you got baited a lot. You had a really, really good point toward the end where you were asking if men are strong about strong men and weak women. And I feel like if you would have went into individual situations about how a couple needs to come together, assess each other, and judge based off of their circumstances, you would have fucking hammered down that point. And that you did make the modernization of the household without seeking to destroy nuclear families. We're seeking to modernize it. But I think those are the only two examples I got of you actually addressing his prompt. And then you kind of went down a couple hills. You also were making a point about courts. He cut you off. And instead of reiterating your point, you kind of attacked the red pill and then went into your point again, but it was it was just a quick mention and you went off on the red pill again. I think he was baiting you into things, maybe intentionally, maybe not, to get you off your game. And in a lot of places it worked. Like you had some strong arguments, you just never hammered home enough.
Well, I do appreciate your criticisms, Tyler.
Anson.
Yeah. So, Mel, when Glenn cammed up, you missed a golden opportunity to point out that with them Dumbo ears, he couldn't hear the arguments you were making, but he was picking up these alien transmissions from somewhere that was giving him some sort of clairvoyance to make his arguments. Right? You missed because he's got them huge fucking flapping ears, right? Come on, man. Now you got to add some comedy into it. Now, in terms of scoring, Glenn obviously spanked you 14 points. You only had 9 points, Mel. If you would have made me laugh a little bit, I might have scored you better.
Oh, okay. And Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Glenn on that one. It was really close though. I had it like basically even at the end. I do think that getting baited was the one flaw. I think that cost you, Mel. But otherwise, yeah, that was close. That could have gone either way. I'm gonna go with Glenn.
Okay. So, anybody want to make comments, observations? For those of you who are new, by the way, at the end, feel free to say, hey, Mel, this was a bad argument to take because Glenn argues this literally almost every damn day. And he has all of these arguments down and just, he just clicks them right off. That's why he could go so rapid fire and come back to them.
I think Mel had the winning argument, though. I think that getting distracted was the problem. I think the arguments were better.
Statement.
So what's the difference between getting baited and making sure I actually address what he said?
I'll tell you what it was for me, and I think it's pretty easily fixable. I think when you walked in, you went in, you left your area and chose to engage on his, and then you didn't drive home your whole point in his area, right? If you gone in and drove your point in where he was at, that would have been a little bit different. But you went and engaged him on his turf, and then didn't come back to your thing, and he kind of left it. And then when you did come back, it was already he'd already kind of nailed 3 or 4 more points in because you walked into it. Even though you did well defending it, it took you out of your zone. Does that make sense? That was my little thing I thought you did. But you did really good on his turf. It was just, I think that was the slight difference. And it was razor thin. If it was an MMA fight, that would have been a 30, or that'd be I don't know, 29-28. It was close.
Highest quality debate so far tonight. Absolutely.
I might have to give it some thought because I still think I had to pick and choose what to address, and my main goal was to finish saying the main point, which admittedly I didn't do as well because I wanted to make the nuclear family argument, but I thought the last point I made was funny in my defense against Anson.
Yeah. I'm judging on who's the most humorous tonight. So whoever makes me laugh wins.
Mogged.
Oh, and I don't know if I'm just going to say personally, and I know I don't want to sound too bitter because I did appreciate the judging here. I would remove points for Gish galloping because that's also in a sense stepping kind of out of your territory and not focusing. But that's that would be me. I think that there's a lot of different types of judging I've seen on here at this point, which I at least appreciate.
I do. If somebody makes a point and doesn't back it up, I take something off of them.
Yeah.
Well, also, if you're saying that your opponent was gish galloping, that's kind of your prerogative to call out, your responsibility to call it during the debate so that points can be deducted.
I did.
If you don't call it out, then it doesn't count.
I did.
Then points may have been deducted.
I actually think Mel has really good panel etiquette. Not just on Grid, but I think most places. I know you guys think I'm joking, but Mel's always very conscious of the host show and her role in it.
So. Literally been banned off of Sarah's BK. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a interesting assertion, Duck. But hey, man, everybody has their viewpoint. We have another debate. By the way, Mel, thank you for coming back. It was weird when you quit, kind of rage quit last time. I'm just going to assume you had a bad evening.
I misheard. It was kind of a bad day.
Does someone have the clip?
I misheard, and I thought what you were saying is that every single time you're going to decide that who gets to take the affirmative and the negative. And I'm just against that because that really is a debate exercise. It's not a true virtue of debate that you should be able to debate both sides. So that's just that kind of ruined the spirit of debate for me. But then when I realized people have to pay for it, then that kind of made more sense to me.
Yeah. Okay.
So my apology.
And
See you later.
cool. Have a great rest of your evening and hang out. Maybe somebody will buy you back in. You just never know.
You
Bye,
too.
Mel. Great debate. You too.
L.
Glenn.
Take the L. Bye. Bye, loser. Bye.
Okay. All right. So who? Mel has never been a judge, Clovertack, actually.
I wanted to say, but then I didn't get a chance because I just had to go answer the door. Yeah, gish galloping is not a huge thing I'm a fan of either. To go along with what Tyler said.
So, Grid, for the sake of judging and full disclosure, Patrick is one of my best friends in real life.
Okay.
Thank you for your honesty.
Who said that?
Anson?
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll keep that in mind when you're debating. Maybe
Judging.
I'll make you debate him. Maybe that's what I'll do.
That totally one unbiased judge, completely unbiased, not biased at all judge. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's completely unbiased, actually.
I've heard that.
I know I'm being sarcastic here. I'm just playing.
We have Beth is wanting Patrick versus Leithy. Patrick, did I ask you what your positions are?
You did.
I did. Okay, good. All right.
Oh shit! I didn't even see Leafy here. I remember you.
Good.
Remember,
All
I
right.
debated on your Discord red pill stuff last time.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
spoken a few times.
Welcome, Avius. I did see you. You're muted right now, I think.
Yeah, I muted myself. I was talking to stream.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're since we already have a debate, and we're going to have Patrick going against Leithy. Anson, are you going to recuse yourself? And do I need to have cleaner judge this one?
I mean, I can be fair, but he is like one of my best friends, so it'll be hard for me to be unbiased.
It'll be Cleaner, Gibbs, and Tyler will be the judges for this one.
Sure.
So it's always good to have the CIA involved when we're judging. So that's good.
Nice recusal, Jeff Sessions.
Hey, I'm related to Jeff.
Anson just keeps winning. All right. Everybody else, you're going to go hang out in the back, watch, and have a good time. I know you don't get to spend just a ton of time on the screen like you do on other shows and panels, but it's just the way. Wait, I put the wrong guy down. Whoops.
We lost a
My
Yu-Gi-Oh
bad.
card.
What to do with it? There he is. It's just the way this show works, but you get a lot of time to kind of hang out, in the chat, talk shit to people, all that kind of thing. So it's a good time for everyone, especially me. And we'll just get Gibbs out of here. And then there were two. So what shall we debate, gentlemen?
I think we're both capitalists. We could debate intricacies regarding that, or we could debate some positions separate from that, social issues or something else.
Okay.
Whatever. If you have a suggestion, I'm open.
Open to suggestions.
Let me see.
Or Leithy. If Leithy has a suggestion, I'm open.
Run the
Yeah,
DEI,
Leithy, do you have?
We could run the riots.
You're muted,
we can,
sir.
Where am I muted?
I'm cool with intricacies relating to capitalism because it sounds like he's a capitalist Democrat, and so I think that we could find some intricacy there, but it's up to him.
Where am I muted?
Hold on.
Lethe, can you say something?
Hello.
Can I
Where am I muted?
Hold on.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone can hear me. Hold on.
I'm confused. Hello.
Oh.
I'm not hearing anything from Lethe.
I'm not either.
Wait. I get it. Oh, sorry. I forgot I have
What's
the Discord.
going on?
I get it.
He was talking earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm okay. So
It's not muted on the show's end.
Oh, try putting your mic down, Lethe. So maybe your mic mutes when you put it up. That's what
not
mine
my
does.
mic. My mic's right here.
Oh, make sure your mic is.
Oh, I see. You have a boom mic.
See the little where it says mute and there's like a little arrow beside it. Click that. Make sure you've got the right mic selected.
I'll put. That's right. Try this one. How about that?
There
Is
we
that
go.
working?
I can hear you now.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's just somehow your mic selected the wrong one. So good to go.
Debate
All right.
prompt. Why am I muted?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't mute you, and you didn't mute you because I can see that your mic is active. So I was like, wow, something's going on here. All right. So where are we at here?
Yeah, I'm good with social issues, the riots, like pretty much anything's up.
Okay. What? So he was kind of leading off into some capitalism stuff there. What do you think about that?
I think we probably have a fair amount of overlap, but if you'd like to
Okay.
get into it, any particular part about capitalism?
Yeah, let me throw some things out. Should we have?
Occupational licensing.
Sorry.
Occupational licensing.
Oh, that's some intricacies.
I don't know. I'm looking for intricacies on his position because he said he believes in capitalism, and so I don't know like how deep his capitalism goes.
What about lower taxes? Who should have lower taxes?
Poor people
versus the up taxes.
Yeah, I mean,
you said poor people should have lower taxes.
About taxing the rich, so.
I mean, I would definitely take I think everybody should have lower taxes. If you wanted to debate on that, but we can argue something different if Grid would prefer something different.
I'm just looking for something you guys disagree on.
Well, we disagree there. We can,
sure
or we can keep going.
We disagree on. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't agree with DEI. I would guess.
Correct.
Yeah, we did DEI earlier. That could be done again. What's
we can talk reparations?
Reparations. We've not done a reparations debate on this channel at all.
That would be fine.
What? All right. So give me the prompt. What are we talking about?
That based
Lethe,
on,
you're the affirmative, I'd assume.
Yeah. So based on the actions of the U.S. government, the black population of America tied to chattel slavery, and going forward through the civil rights period, deserve some form of reparations for what has happened.
Okay. And Patrick, your position, you can debate against that?
Yeah, I'd be fine with being the negative against that.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do now is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put 1 minute. I'm going to really have to get the clock on the screen. I haven't put it back up. All right. Since you're the affirmative, Lethe, whenever you're ready, just tell me and I'll start the clock.
Start up.
Go.
All right. Due to the systemic nature of the way things work in America, black people have been removed from the ability to gain wealth. So through the civil rights period, you had massive amounts of redlining, bank loans being removed, laws put in place against black people to keep us from being able to be in the same position that most other Americans are.
Okay. All right. Under 30 seconds. Cool. You ready, Patrick?
Sure.
Start.
Yeah, so the United States, actually fought for the freedom of black people and against chattel slavery. The United States is the side that won the Civil War and against the Confederate States of America and actually abolished that. So the side that he is talking about is the side that he would agree with, actually won the Civil War and is the side that is currently in control. So the systemic racism and ability to gain wealth, I believe that happened on a more localized scale. If you want to state it like that, that happened predominantly in the South, but ultimately in the grand scheme, the side that he would agree with is the one that won the Civil War, and so I don't see what there is to argue with.
Okay, both of you guys finishing well early, which is good, and we got 5 minutes on the clock, so let's go.
Okay, so starting with the side that won the Civil War and then reneged on its promise to give people that were deprived freedom a leg up going forward with 40 acres and a mule, and gave reparations to the slave owners in juxtapost. Then moving forward, created segregation within the states that was upheld by the states themselves, keeping black people from being able to own property
You're
at the
saying
same
so the
rate.
you're saying the federal government created segregation?
The federal government allowed for the states to have segregation. They upheld those laws.
The states had the rights to do those things because everybody has localized things, and so I guess that would be my position, is where I would say, like, for example, the whole thing about discriminized buses and things like that Rosa Parks was going against, for example, was because the state was able to discriminate, whereas if it was privatized industry, then they wouldn't be able to discriminate in the same way because they would lose the competition, and, like, within competing with other people who didn't discriminate as far as making buses, restaurants, etc., and so on, or even education in schools and everything. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. Discrimination in the schools. So one thing about that, where do schools get funding from?
Well, they didn't get funding from the government or anybody else up until the last, I think, 70 years or so. It's the
Where does
vast
funding for
minority
schools
of
come
our history.
from? Right
At
now.
current, it comes from the government, but it didn't for the vast
No.
majority of our history.
No, it comes from property taxes. And so you're going to have better schools in areas with higher property values and higher property taxes, which is exactly where black people were redlined from and are kept out of those communities.
And it came from property taxes because the government funds them, right? And I'm telling you, the Department of Education wasn't founded until very recently in the nation's history. Okay. The localized schools, publicly funded, weren't happening either up until very recently in the country's history. For the vast majority of the country's history, all education was done privately, actually through churches and things like that actually funded schools, or communities that got together and funded schools. And so, I mean, I agree with you that maybe some of those things happened as far as like redlining and things like that. But and I think it does happen now as far as, oh man, my property taxes don't pay for X number of things as far as like even the schools. But I don't think that's a problem of discrimination. I think that's a problem with the government being involved in the education system. So I think it's a separate issue.
So to remove the need for any sort of programs to allow for other people to be able to get into jobs and things like that, let's level out the playing field and allow for black people to get low interest loans or no interest loans for housing as well as for education.
I think that's I think that's discriminatory. That's discriminatory on the side of the government to discriminate in favor of people for their skin color, which is exactly what Martin Luther King was against. He didn't want pro-black or pro any certain color or race or skin. He didn't want people to be discriminated against for anything related to that. He wanted everything to be equal for everybody and have a merit-based system. And I think that actually DEI and everything else that, like what you're talking about, actually goes against the actual spirit of what Martin Luther King and the other civil rights activists talked about throughout the entirety of their movement, because they didn't want it to be based on their skin color at all. They wanted to win based on the merits of their skill. And I think that actually it undercuts black people's skill level when you just give them a job based on the color of their skin, or a loan based on the color of their skin, rather than them beating out the competition and then getting rewarded based on that.
The whole point of reparations is to repair a harm that was done to a people through discrimination. So to be able to get past that discrimination and right the wrong that was done, the same that was done with the people in Manzanar when the Japanese were put into internment camps, it wasn't that everybody got that. There was literally a discriminatory practice that put that into place, and there had to be a reparation for it. Why shouldn't there be a reparation for this?
How many white boys died trying to free black slaves? You know, like, that's what I'm saying, is the side that fought for slavery to be ended against black people literally was fought by white dudes from the North. They literally and yeah, you can say they reparated slave owners, but I'm saying literally thousands. It was the bloodiest war in American history as far as white guys going to go die to free black people, and black people served on that. In that as well. I mean, literally all kinds of colors of people served on the side of the Union. You had Native Americans, white people, black people. You had all sorts of groups fighting for that same thing. And so it's like, how do we reparate the Native Americans? How do we reparate the white people that died for that? The side that was doing that lost is the main point.
Yeah, people that fight in wars. Oh, we're good. All right.
All right, gentlemen. That was really good. That was really good. I enjoyed that, actually. That was cool.
Can someone tell me what the exact prompt was again? I missed that part right at the beginning. I didn't want to interrupt.
It was essentially that reparations should be there for black people due to the discriminatory practices that came from chattel slavery and the civil rights period.
Yep, that's what I heard too. Okay, I'm going to start with cleaner.
16, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I had Patrick at 16 points and Leith at 12. It was actually really close up until I examined the command of the argument. And when I was looking at who had more command over the debate, it seemed like Patrick was refuting and then adding points during each of Leith's points. So I gave command of the argument to Patrick, which ended up winning him the round, in my opinion.
Okay. Right next to you, Admiral Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm going to go Lethe for the exact same reason. I think that every time Patrick brought up something new or whatever, Lethe addressed it very well. And I think what was a really poignant point was the point he made about the reparations made to the Japanese people after World War II. And I didn't find the response, and this was really the one key debate point I think flipped it, was I didn't find Patrick's response about how many white boys died to be really a satisfactory answer due to the fact that, World War II also had a lot of loss of life, and I just didn't, buy that kind of that line of thought. However, overall, it was very close. So yeah, I give it to Lethe on that one.
Okay, and Tyler.
This was a hard one. Two good ones back to back. So, okay, this came down to a lot of nitpicking here. So whoever loses, I don't want to ruin it till the end, but don't take it personally because this was good. Lethe addressed the Civil War point. He addressed it with, but after the Civil War, promises were broken and all this bad shit happened that had to go all the way up to civil rights in order to fix it. The only real rebuttal I heard to that, you went off on Martin Luther King for a bit. I don't think it addressed it properly. You went off on the Department of Education. At one point, you were talking about bad Fed policy, that you could dislike the policy, but what he's arguing is the policy is in place and what we saw are disproportionate results. I don't feel like those points were addressed. And the only time you somewhat addressed it, I feel like all you said was, yeah, you're right about those things, but the Civil War, look at how many people died. It's like, you're just saying, well, aren't you appreciative of all this over here? So ignore all this over here. It didn't take down his argument enough for me to say you won. So I have to go with Lethe on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping, I was going to wish to see if somebody was going to respond to Levy's argument with well, we have basically given them reparations with all the, grants and schools and programs that are, directed for just that community. That could be in the form of reparation.
Well, I'd say another highlight that Lethe said right there was whenever you drop the Department of Education doesn't pay for the schools thing. That was a pretty good banger line right there. That one stood out to me as well. I think a couple of those were key. You had a few more of those banger standout lines in my opinion.
Let me say, Patrick, the next time you're arguing with somebody who says that black people are owed money because of slavery, just point out the fact that two facts. One, slavery was an economic system, not a race-based system. There were thousands of black slave owners in the South. You can pull up the 1830 census. There were 3,775 black slave owners in the American South during that census. Right. So it wasn't a race-based system. It was an economic-based system. Also point out that there were white indentured servants who were treated in a very similar manner. They weren't race-based systems. They were economic systems, and people whining about it today are just whining.
Anson, I think you listened a little better than I did. I mean, I thought the opening was a little too experimental in that sense. And it's cool to do that on panels like this, but also I felt like I was in outer space, and I felt Lethe was responding to I don't think there was any salvaging that line. I don't know. I wanted to rub on your nipples and talk about debates and stuff, but my bad, dude.
I don't know what the fuck's wrong with Duck. The thing that I was seeing during the to and fro when you were each making points and refuting the others was that when you were doing the turnaround, I think you could have added more to each of the arguments, Leith. I know you were very concise and to the point. I think you could have given a little bit more so that you could have had more points in there in each of the arguments you were making back when you were refuting his points and giving yours back, and that would have given you a much stronger approach and more command or appearance of command in the argument.
No,
Like
and I'll
Tai
say I
Chi.
respect Leith. I respect Leith for we had a very good back and forth, both very generous with each other as far as just like being willing to let each other respond, kind of stopping and pausing for that. And so I appreciated the debate. It's my first time on a debate panel or anything like that. And so I definitely appreciated the charitable nature that Leith kind of approached it with, because I needed that and it helped me a lot. So I appreciate that from you, Leith.
Yeah, great talk. Thanks for having that back and forth with me. I think it was pretty enlightening.
Absolutely, man. And I appreciate it from you as well.
Yeah. I guess really the only feedback I have is, honestly, it's the economic system thing was kind of where I normally go. Plus the indentured servants and all of that. I feel like that, Patrick, I actually felt like you had pretty good control for the most part. I don't really have anything else to add. I hope you come back. You did well, and don't be mad. So
thanks for having me,
Yu-Gi-Oh's
Grid.
not the worst game. There are worse games than Yu-Gi-Oh. You'll be all right.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, Patrick, and I keep bringing Grumple back up. I don't know why.
Oh no, yeah, I'm supposed to be backstage.
Yeah.
Beth picked 2 more, Grid.
Did she? I can't. I haven't been watching. I'll check.
Cleaner versus
Somebody can-
Avius.
Someone should buy Grumple back up. Grumple's like the only nice person in the panel verse. We just we need Grumple on every panel.
Cleaner versus obvious. Avius. How do you say that? Avius. Obvious.
Avius. Yeah, Avius would be correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. I'm good with Grumple. Verse or not Grumple. Hold on. Did she say Grumple? Cleaner. I'm good with Cleaner versus Avius. I'm really sorry to do that to you, Avius. Cleaner is he's a Fed. I mean, let's just be honest. He's a Fed.
Oh shit. All right, fair enough. Well, thank you for letting me know, so like I can go in prepared.
Rumors and hearsay.
It's all rumors and hearsay. So, poor Kel just got back, and we're putting her in the back room again. Sorry about that. That's just the way the show works. You're muted right now.
Sorry, I'm a technological grandpa, but yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. Apologies.
Okay, cool. Hey, now are you leftist? Are you Democrat? Because I keep forgetting to ask, and then the chat wants to know. So
Yeah, you know how they say there's like California sober? I'm like a California centrist, so
So you're
more
like
left leaning.
you're more left leaning, but you haven't gone full retard yet. You're just halfway.
Right. No, I'm a capitalist at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, a lot of people claim to be capitalist, but then they vote for every single tax that comes down the road. So, anyway,
Well,
all right,
we'll have
cool.
to engage in some debate to solidify where I stand. Okay.
Well, we'll get you a debate in just a few minutes. But I got right now, everybody's got to go in the back. Everybody get to the back of the bus except for Avius and who did we go? Avius and
I believe it was Cleaner.
Man, it's so bad. Like so the thing is people sleep on Cleaner all the time. Like they think he's so quiet and he's just chill down there, but he's deadly. So I wouldn't. I'm glad it's you, not me. All right. So what are we debating tonight, gentlemen? Which favorite subject? Avius.
Well, I'm a contentious motherfucker and I'm very opinionated, so I can do anything. I can leave it up to Cleaner.
Awesome.
What would be your general side that you would be leaning towards, that you would have a more proficient side in debating?
Honestly, it really freaking depends. I'm a Swiss Army knife when it comes down to shit. I can disagree with like I'm not like fully on the progressive side because there's like a ton of shit that not normal people would criticize on the progressive side, but there's other shit like my housing policy shit like that conservatives would probably view like insanely far left to the point where people would view contentious. So yeah, I whatever you want.
I mean, what's your favorite
Religion?
thing to argue? What I mean, what's the thing that you like to argue the most? Like personal, social issues. You know,
Honestly, the main thing that I've been arguing recently is housing costs in the United States. Not just housing costs, but housing, transportation, and food costs. That's been the main thing I've been arguing.
Are you religious?
Okay.
I am agnostic. I don't have like any issues with religious people whatsoever. I actually see like a strong value in things like the Bible and shit like that, where it number one, very historical. Like regardless, there people will fight me back and forth saying, "Oh, it's not historical. There's not this. There's not that." Well, the fact of the matter is, when you're talking about 3,000-year-old history involving the Romans, the Bible is just as historical as any other historical archives that we're going to go through from back then, right? So. I like the Bible and shit like that from that point of view. I think you can learn a lot of philosophy from it, but I'm not very religious, quote unquote. Like I've been to church, but the first time I was at church, I was 18.
So you believe in some type of deity of above or something to that extent, but no selective as far as a religion that puts it in a box.
Oh yeah, you could definitely say that.
Would you say that that deity is the arbiter of morals?
I think the arbiter of morals would be us. The arbiter of morals is the thing that's kept us alive the longest. That would be our arbiter of morals, right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, what's your position on housing and just the cost of goods?
My position on housing, this is where a lot of people disagree with me. We are at a point when it comes down to housing, the only way going forward to provide homes for low income Americans is government intervention. There is no other way going past this, right? You can look up, I want to call it, I want to say the website is the National Builders Association, right? If you look at the National Builders Association, they'll talk about right now. So basically the way to look at it, if you build a property, if you build a new apartment whatsoever, right, you want to make a profit on that land in 20 years, right? So you want to be collecting 5% a year off of that piece of land. At that point, in the United States right now, to build an apartment, you're looking at $1,800 a month is what you're charging to make your profit in 20 years, right? So if the cheapest that you're going to build an apartment to make it economically feasible in the United States is $1,800, the way I look at that is, well, I want people to have kids. I want there to actually be families and all of that good shit that we had in, the 80s, 70s, what so fucking ever, right? But we cannot get that unless we have apartments that are, $1,200 for a 2-bedroom. We can't build a $1,200 for a 2-bedroom in California. That's just economically infeasible. We have to build it through the government. That's the only way going forward. I'm not a huge HUD guy. I'm not like, oh my God, yeah, we need public housing. What I am saying is building public housing is the only way to move forward if you actually want to provide homes for low-income Americans.
Is that something you can debate, Cleaner?
Yeah. I don't think that's the only way. I definitely believe that there are a number of other ways.
All right, let's make something happen, Captains. I'm going to give you 1 minute since you're taking the positive position. Avius, you'll start out. You get 1 minute to make your position, and we'll go from there. You ready?
Okay, my position, yeah.
Go.
All right, my position is very, very simple. I am a young father of 2 kids, and honestly, having kids is the thing that gave me purpose in my life. However, having 2 kids, when I had my daughter, before I had my son even, right, I had to move from the city that I was living in. The reason why is because the same price that I get a 2-bedroom in the city I live right now was a studio apartment in the city that I was living in. Now, at that point, I blamed the stupid evil liberal city and all of the evil capitalists for not building cheap apartments and trying to price gouge us. But once I actually went and I did the research, I realized no, it's not the evil capitalist's fault. The evil capitalists can only do what's economically feasible. And right now we live in a country where it's no longer economically feasible to provide people like me who are trying to start families. That's why we need to prioritize building low-income housing from the government.
Okay, that was almost exactly a minute. Cleaner, when you're ready.
All right. I believe that there are a number of other ways that we could address this issue of housing being too expensive or in limited supply. The first of which would be to deport the 20 million immigrants that are here illegally, which would necessarily free up housing. To what extent could be debated and conversed, which I hope we'll do. Also, the removal of taxes from low-income families could greatly increase the amount of funds that they have available to be able to purchase houses. Government limitations on annual percentage rates as far as how much you're going to be paying in every year on your home loans or mortgages could also be another way that you could combat this in a very real way.
Okay, so Cleaner.
All right, hold on. I got to get
Let
your
him
time.
start the timer.
My bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
Sure.
That was 5 seconds left, Cleaner. That was a long one for you. All right, you guys get ready and go.
So do you not think that having immigrants removed from the country would necessarily free up some housing for lower income families to be able to afford, or affect the housing market in a way that would lower some of the prices?
I think it would lower the prices. All right. I'm not going to argue against that. That's just a common sense take to say, yes, when you remove people from the market is going to get cheaper because there's more availability. What I will argue is, yes, removing 20 million people from the country would give us more supply, but we need supply nationwide, right? Because the issue isn't immigrants showed up, right? While we were having immigrants showed up, you had 2 generations come of age looking for homes. Now, I say 2 generations. Why would I say 2 generations? Because the millennials, number one, came of age and couldn't buy homes because the 2008 recession hit, which caused home builders to no longer build homes, number one. Number two,
Yeah, so
now you have
hold
Generation
on.
Z coming of
You're
age
adding
who also
in
can't buy homes.
too many points at once. Let's go one point at a time here.
Yeah, my
So
bad.
you're talking about the generations of immigration that have been happening, and I'm not denying that there has been some immigration that happened in the 80s and 90s, as well as a little bit in the early 2000s. However, a grand majority of the immigration that we've seen in the United States has happened over about the past 12 years. So
No. I'm not even talking immigration. I'm talking the rate of people who are turning 18 looking for homes, looking for apartments, looking to move out of mommy and daddy's home, right?
yeah, that's just
yes, the
something that
immigrants add
happens.
to the problems.
That's
Yeah,
something that happens generationally, no matter what, though. That's going to continue to happen as we move forward into the future. Now, granted,
would you
we're
disagree
at
they're not
a lower
compounding rate?
birth rate, so that may be a little less later. However,
But that
that's
didn't
not going
affect
to
Gen
stop.
Z. Gen Z was one of the largest generations globally ever, right? So, like, yes, the birth rates declined, but the birth rates didn't start declining until millennials, right? When
Gen
it came
Z, I
down to the
think,
boomers, the
was
boomers were doing their job.
Gen Z, I think, was 13% per capita, higher than Gen X, or I'm sorry, not Gen X, but these two new generations that are around right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Gen X, coming from the baby boomers, was actually one of the largest per capita booms of population that happened, other than right after the war, right after World War II.
That's my point that I'm trying to bring up, though. When it comes down to Generation Z is one of the largest generations, right? So all of these people are coming of age now looking for homes. So even if we remove, all of the immigrants from the country, that doesn't make up for the gap of us not building homes since 2008.
So
it doesn't make up for the gap of the millennials and Gen Z that still need homes. Yes,
what you're
we will
saying
remove
is
these
that,
people, but
like,
it doesn't make
the
up for the
small
gap.
portion percentage of the increase in births that were happening at that time that resulted in adults that are at this time could not be made up for by removing the 20 million plus immigrants. That's what you're saying?
I'm saying if we remove the 20 million immigrants, it doesn't make up for the deficit of the 40 million Americans that we now have to make up for. That's what I'm
And
saying.
I would
But
say that it
yes,
does,
that 20
because
million that we've got over the 12 years is a fuck ton, right?
yeah,
That
you
is
would
nothing to scoff
necessarily
at.
have at least like 20 million families worth of space that you could, or maybe not 20 million families, but 20 million people's worth of space
Yeah, but here's
that
the
you
issue.
could
12
fill
years ago
with
is
the
2013.
generation that's going on right now. Also, you have to take into account when we're talking about this, you have to take into account the fact that the immigration that is here currently is actually taking up wages and doing all kinds of other things that are changing our economy as well.
Yeah, of course
So
they are. But
if
again, that doesn't
if that
address the
area
issue
is
of homes,
removed,
right?
then
Because
we're
again, you
going.
remove the immigrants, you're still at a deficit of homes.
Yeah, but you're
That's
still
what we need to
not
address.
you're not really providing proof here to me that's showing me how if we removed the immigrants that wouldn't necessarily give more housing to these
It's
younger
simple
generations
math.
and at a lower cost, which
It's
I
simple
actually
math.
think you conceded earlier. So I'd like to move on to my next point, which is removal of
My
taxes
entire
from
point
low
is,
income.
yes, remove the fucking 20 million.
Yeah,
Get them
yeah,
out of the
that's-
country.
Yeah,
Fine.
and then
Okay,
you're
yes, that
definitely going to have a
helps.
little more
But we
space,
need
and
60
you're going to
million
have
homes. What does
cheaper
that do
homes.
with the 60 million, right? Because we're still on a deficit of 40 million.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's
if
the
we
problem.
had national propaganda for our youth to get married and stay married, then we would
That's
have
not going to
those
do shit,
60
man.
million
I'm
lowered to
married.
30
I
million.
love my fucking wife,
So,
okay? But no, this is
right,
the
I get
issue,
that.
right?
What I'm saying
How
is,
are we going to have
there
kids when you're
would
living in an
be,
apartment and you
there
can't
would
even quietly
be,
fuck, right?
there
When you're
would
in an
be more
apartment with
housing
4 other
available
roommates,
for
what are
those
you going to do
people.
about that?
I just, yeah, and what I'm saying is like you would have more housing available for those people that wasn't being taken up right now.
No, their housing is not available. The average person can't even afford to go on a fucking date. So how are you going to tell the average American to go out,
By
you know,
removing
go
the
find their
immigration,
wife?
people
They
will
can't
have
do
more
that.
money because there will be more jobs
They can't
available
afford
for
a
our
home. They
people to
can't
be
go out and
working.
find somewhere to go fuck. They live in
Look,
a
it's a
fucking studio
multifaceted
apartment with 3
argument.
other people.
The fact that you can't delve into the multifacet of it, I mean,
No,
that's
you
on you.
can't fathom why the fuck we're in such a goddamn huge issue. I
Oh,
wish
no,
you
I
could.
can.
I wish people could understand what the fuck I'm saying because I want more people
No,
like
I
me to
can.
have
I think
kids.
I think I
Okay?
actually
I don't want to
addressed
be
it.
the only
I think I actually
25-year-old
addressed it
father. It
perfectly.
fucking
The three
blows.
main reasons why our economy is all screwed up is immigration, the taxation, and the government limits on interest rates that haven't been enforced.
All right,
All
gentlemen,
three
That's
of
a
those
small part.
played into it.
I'm
No,
ha-
those three have
What does
played
that
into
do
it.
with the fact
Strong
that
correlates.
it is not economically feasible to build for less than $1,800 a month rent? What do you do to address that?
Avius, time's expired, brother. Just
All right,
No, we
man.
gotta stop. We gotta stop. This is
I
fun.
wanted to keep going, man. See, this
Yeah.
is my favorite topic to argue. All right.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I like this one.
Yeah, this was good.
Dude, there's so much data and so much shit I can dive into. If you give me a chance to look at my charts, oh my fucking god, we could be here for hours.
Yeah, I have a lot of data that that kind of overlaps onto this concept of housing.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
I hope we can talk about it more
yeah,
later.
that's a great long form conversation, but right now we've got to pick a winner. We're going to start with Gibbs if he's ready.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, so that was bad. They started off the night not so good, and then we've gotten some really good ones in the last few. That one was really close. I think that Avius was able to control where the conversation went. And this is kind of like an MMA match. You grapple it, and then I think this is the first one that somebody got really, really passionate. And I think if you get passionate and you back up the facts and actually make like cognizant things while you're passionate, that's a good sell. So I'm gonna go with Avius, even though it pains me to do so as a because it's everything against my beliefs. But he won this one, I think.
Okay. Tyler?
Whew, man, this was another one. This is like, again, the loser, I'm not going to say who yet, but I'm nitpicking because this was pretty damn good. Avius started out with his personal anecdote, which, invokes ethos. Started out with, I blame the capitalist. I had and then I looked into it and then got into his argument about, so Cleaner was more on the prompt. He's offering multiple alternatives to bring it down. Now, Avius, you were arguing against one of his alternatives. Well, part of one of his alternatives, is that sure, this solves 20 million houses, but there's 40 million more needed. But his point that he kept going back to is wages will go up, supply will go up, and demand will go down. So those prices will all start to come toward the middle. It's not just 20 more million houses, here's 20 million people. It's going to affect the entire market. And he kept bringing that up. And I thought you were addressing it well, but then at the end there, he started going into his second point, which was taxes and things of that nature, how government is somewhat responsible for the prices being high in the first place. And none of that got addressed. Cleaner, on the other hand, you left a lot on the table. You could have been going at a lot of points more, like your ending point about government being the reason it's this high in the first place. So taking the thing that made it this high and continuing to use it is actually going to exacerbate the problem. I didn't hear anything like that out of you because that would have gone at the throat of his argument. I felt like you could have been a little more attacky here. I hate to say this, man. Cleaner, I'm sorry. I got to give it to Avius. You should have cut him off at the knees, and you didn't. And I think he missed your second point, but you just didn't make it until like right at the end, and it had no backing behind it because of that.
All right, Anson.
Yeah, so Tyler hit on something that I'm going to talk about, which is the ethos connection that he made at the very beginning, the having kids gave me a purpose in life bullshit that you did, right? Like you need to have like diaper changes and tantrums to know that you're not so supposed to binge Netflix your entire life. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. You know, and you know, there's a certain point where it's an ethos connection and it's a, hey, look, I'm pathetic, and so I'm making an argument from being a pathetic human being, right? And that's basically what you're saying. You have an entitlement to everybody else's shit, so give it to me. So, you know, your argument fell flat, right? I must say that Cleaner won 14-9, and I don't know what the fuck the other judges were watching.
I actually agree with Anson. So Gibbs, what did you say? I'm sorry, I zoned out.
I went with Avius. It was close, but I think Avius controlled the more.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Cleaner, looks like you lost out on this one. I'm going to be honest here, Avius. I didn't like any of your argument. It was all asperging. It was nothing connected. To be honest with you, I'm in Anson's camp here, where all I heard was I'm a victim. Give me fucking money. And
all right.
I don't know what the other judges are watching here.
Give me 10 minutes later. Give me 10 minutes and data. All right. I won't use it.
I understand you've got data, and I'm in. You know, I buy and sell houses, so I have data too. And
that's why I would love to have the conversation with you. Honestly,
dichotomy when you started out and complained that, well, I had to move out of this city so I could afford a place to live. Well, that's what people do. That's how people get forward in life. I can't believe the two judges didn't key in on that as the biggest portion of the entire argument. Was you just undermined your entire argument. Literally everything you said after that point was bullshit, and I can't believe the judges went along with it. But you got.
I'll tell you what. So you know it's bullshit. Let me start it right. Cleaner tried to go to his second argument several times there, and Avius would not let him do it. And Cleaner ended up playing
because he was spurging.
Well, hold on, but if you play into it,
it's fine. It's fine. Look, hey, I'm just talking. I mean, I like to give feedback on things, and I think that my feedback to Cleaner would be is I think he started out trying to be very welcoming, and not welcoming. That's not the right point. But he wanted to listen. He did, tell him that when Avius started running off, he said, "Hey, come back. Let's just go one point at a time." I mean, I honestly, from my point of view, Cleaner had the debate 100% under control the entire time. He even said, "Hey, I'm going to make my second point. We're stopping. We're not talking about this anymore because I'm making my second point." Of course, time was running out at that point, but he was in control. I like, Avius. It's not that you made, I just don't like. I don't like your.
Oh yeah, no. You know what? I'll even grant you that. I shouldn't have used the anecdote. I'll grant you that.
Yeah,
however, it helps a lot of the time, right? Because I'll watch motherfuckers like Hassan, and their entire audience is based on anecdotes, right? So they're occasionally I'll use the anecdote involving my family because I do.
A lot of people do,
family, right?
And look at what happened. You used an anecdote, and two judges just let you roll with it.
But, that's why I use them occasionally, right? But I'll grant you that
the one
I should have
question I
fucking
do
stuck
have,
with the data because I have the data.
Okay.
Yeah, Avius, I'm a dad too.
The one
and I would
question
just say,
I do have about
let me say
how
one
this
quick
went
thing.
down was I did make note that within like the first 30 seconds, he conceded my first point, and I continually tried to move it on to taxation or another economic form to merge it into our APY issues and our taxation issues. However, at what point, when an opponent is not going along with moving it along and they've already conceded the point, are you going to start deducting points from the person who's not moving along because they've already conceded the point, even though the other person is trying to push it in that direction?
So
other than that, though,
no. The thing is, you weren't addressing what I was saying.
The other judges,
what I'm saying.
The other judges missed that because it's your job as a debater to tell them, hey, you already conceded this.
Pointed it out.
Yeah, you have to be
pointed it out twice.
Cleaner.
You got to be a bigger dick about it, though, because like someone like Gibbs isn't
housing cheaper to build. That's my argument. I'm not arguing anything outside of the cost of building. So how does removing immigrants from the country lower cost of building?
Well, that's what your prompt was. Your prompt was specifically that doing this one other thing would be the only way.
If I wasn't referring to cost of building.
Actually,
your prompt was.
That's why I think Cleaner won. Cleaner said clearly, you said that this is the only way forward. I don't know why nobody else.
Yeah, I don't think anyone.
No, I say the only way forward because if it costs $1,800 a month to build a fucking apartment, and that's to make it economically feasible. Yes, that means poor people cannot afford homes in the United States.
Hold on. I just want to say, like, I am like. Going in, Cleaner, you had every advantage on my book. Like, it was going to be very hard for Avius to win this debate in my mind, even like just knowing my bias, right? And what the difference is, you asked this question. Yes, you made a point, and unlike what judges say, chairman saying here, it's not that you weren't a dick and then you didn't bring it up. You did bring it up, but then as soon as you brought it up, you went back and engaged with the points that he was making, right? And you went to his points and you never left your zone, right? Like you said, oh, this is a problem, and then he made a different point, and you went to fight that battle instead of coming back to fighting your battle. Like after you made this, you didn't like double down. You like double down with saying it, but you didn't double up with an action afterwards. I think that like control is a big aspect here. Like despite chairman's disagreements with that.
I think he just didn't attack enough too, because there was one point where he was citing the aggregate statistics.
I think 1,800. I'm just gonna say this, and then I'll let Cleaner jump out. But so again, Cleaner is the only one that actually addressed the topic itself, and that was that the prompt was that this is the only way forward. The only way forward is for the government to come in and build the houses. Cleaner gave the alternative. No, if we actually deport people who are here in our country legally, and by the way, he should have followed that up with who moved in and took over all of the inexpensive housing or a large chunk of it. If those people moved out, then that inexpensive housing would now be available again.
Great. If we remove these people, you're going to remove 1 million people from LA, and the apartments in LA aren't going to go below $2,500 a month.
Well,
okay. You're going to remove 1 million from LA, 1 million from New York, 1 million from fucking this place, 1 million from that place. It's not going to do anything when it comes down to the housing cost. That's the problem.
Live there. I mean, it's a simple point. So
and that was the thing. Like, okay, so listen, all right. When the debate started, the prompt was, "This is the only way to X." I made him concede there was another way. At that point, I no longer felt it was necessary to continue arguing any of my other points unless I just got bored because he conceded that I won.
Yeah, I conceded.
So I moved on. I was like, okay, I don't really care. Whatever you want to talk about now that you've conceded, I just won. But I had a fun.
I conceded that would
would
help,
like to do this one a little bit longer.
The situation. That's not going to relieve anything.
Well,
right?
the prompt wasn't.
But it's not going to relieve the situation.
The prompt was that it was the only way, and so I attacked it. And this is why the grid space is so important right now. That people learn the format, the framing, and the understanding of prompts, arguments, fallacies, and how to conduct yourself in an argument in order to gain favoritism from the judges or the viewership.
Cleaner, this is what I meant.
So when you're
that, right?
Well, no. Hold on. Right? This is the thing. Okay, you have to
one
say
big, beautiful
what you
bill.
mean.
If we were doing
exactly
one big, beautiful bill, right?
But
I would love for the fact to deport the 20 million, right? In our one big, beautiful bill, but a part of that, we also have to build public homes. right?
Say
If we
what you
put
mean
both of those in
next
the big
time.
beautiful
I'll know
bill,
what
I'll
the
fucking
argument
love
is
it.
about.
However,
I won't be
if we
arguing
don't
something
include
different.
both of those, we both fail.
Guys, I've got to move the
Have a good
show
one.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. My bad, Grid. Yeah, I'm not trying to stall. All right, I'm just having a good time.
Well, I think there's a lot here, but Cleaner, you know, I think you did excellent. And look, Avius,
He did do great.
I'm really not saying you did horribly. I'm not saying that you're a bad guy or anything like that. Don't take it too
Oh
personally.
no, I'm not taking it like that. I'm defending my position because I'm very passionate about this topic.
Yeah, and I just, you know, I didn't see what the other judges saw at all. I honestly didn't. So, at any rate, we have a request for Glenn versus Kel, but Glenn is no longer with us. He has dropped off. He's probably got some stuff going on, and he'll be back.
Oh, that would have been a fun one.
Yeah. Let me and Patrick.
He was killed prematurely.
I actually need to drop Patrick down because I keep forgetting to drop these guys down because I keep bringing them back. So I gotta hide him.
Glenn, come back, Glenn. Where you at, Glenn?
Hey, Beth gave me the credit to pick who the 1v1 is. She gave it back to me.
Okay, chairman of the board.
How sweet.
Who hasn't gone? So
What a class act. He's reviving his friend. All right, so he's back. Where's the other guy? Where's my other deadbeat?
Let's go.
Where's my other deadbeat? Where is he? There he is, Grumple. Go back to the back. Come on, man. All right, so we've revived Patrick. Patrick's back in. Glenn may or may not be back. We'll see. Check the Cash App. I don't get notices from Cash App like I should. So give me a second here. Stupid Cash App.
Robbery. Fuck Cash App.
You know, like
Grid for that 1v1 credit that she gave me back. I'm gonna do Clover Tech versus Kel.
Mel's choice. So Mel
Mine?
I guess Kissy Cat is allowing Mel to pick the debates. Is that what
My name's
understanding there, Kissy Cat? So you want
the
Avius?
debate or the opponent?
Well, Grumple's not here. Grumple lost, and he's in the back. He's just waiting to be brought back. That's what he's waiting for.
Hey Glenn, I'm just swinging by, or Glenn, Grid, I'm just swinging by to say hi. If you want me to fuck off to make room,
Man, I want actually, I really want because I have heard guys. You guys don't know who Tim Hale is. Tim Hale's first of all, he's a comedian. He's fucking hilarious. Second, Tim Hale
Allegedly
is allegedly a legend of a debater, but I've never heard him debate, and I really would like to. And Tim Hale is awesome. So Melanie wants Avius versus Leith. Wow, some left on left crime. I like it. I like it a lot. Tim Hale, we're going to continue this. Don't run away. Be cool. I like that. By the way, Tim Hale is he is a stellar human being who went to prison for no damn reason whatsoever.
They all say that.
None.
free our boy Tim.
The biggest thing that he did, the thing that he did, his crime of passion, folks, was using the congressional restroom that was open to the public.
I made sure to wash my hands.
I'm sure there's nothing more to the story. God, justice for Tim.
The video proves that as much as it would be a way cooler story if there was that if he did do something cool like dance on the desk or something, no, he wandered the halls and he took a leak.
Well, I did dance in the visitor center. I did not dance on a desk though.
So Tim Hale could have been cool, but he wasn't.
I did not see that coming.
I'm kidding. I like Tim Hale a lot. He's a hell of a guy. All right, so who are we got here? We got Leith versus Avius. That's gonna be a good one. I like this one already.
Solid.
Clover Tack, you're being awfully quiet for Clover Tack. Of course, I keep putting him in the back too, so that's probably it. All right. Goodbye, Tim Hale. Yeah, I gotta put Patrick in the back. All right. And then there were you. What are we going to debate, gentlemen?
I can debate anything.
Leith,
what
what
points of contention would be?
How? Well, he seems to have some economic issues going on. So what about where are you at on economics?
I tend to focus more on social, religious, other nonsense, but yeah, we could get into that too.
Okay.
Avius?
What are the topics you like to argue regarding like social topics?
Well, we just got into reparations. I talk about DEI. I talk about pretty much religion is still a social topic in my opinion.
See, the problem is, like, I honestly don't really have an opinion on religion. Like, the only thing that I'll fight on are people that are, like, super anti-religious. I'll fight those kind of people, but other than that, I don't really have an opinion on religion.
Yeah, I'm
So
definitely
where
not anti-religious.
Paternity testing.
What was that?
Where do you stand on mandatory paternity testing?
Yeah, I'm entirely
Mandatory.
against that.
Yeah, I'm against that.
That's invasive.
Yeah, are you against it, Avius?
Yeah, I would say I'm against that. Like,
are you really? Okay.
I don't know. Like, anytime like the state is compelling you to do something, right? Because like the issue is in the cases where compelling a paternity test leads to catching the scumfuck father, yeah, very good. But then there's also cases where a guy gets stuck in court for 6 fucking months where he has to pay a fuck ton of fees that he shouldn't have had to pay.
I don't draw that connection, but okay. Is the school system failing today's students?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Ha ha! All right,
go.
cool. We got it. Education.
Where would you define? All right, yeah, my bad. I'm still learning. Or I'm learning the format.
No, it's okay. You guys can define the prompt. I want you guys to get a like I want something you guys understand and can be contentious about. And the reason the prompt is so important is so that we know what's being argued, so we can determine a winner. So so you think Lethe that the education system in this country is okay, is fine, is good?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay, all right. And you do not, Avius. So where would you say the education system is lacking?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Or are you asking Levy? I am actually pulling it up real quick. The funny thing is about the U.S. education, there is quite literal websites that are linked to government organizations that their entire job is to pull the numbers of the U.S. education system. On paper, the U.S. education system is dog shit. On paper, we're ranked like 34th when it comes to literacy. On paper, when it comes down to high school literacy in 2019, we are worse than we were in 1992 on paper, right? This is no bullshit. This is not communist literature that is brainwashing the masses. No, this is from the United States government.
Okay, so How about the prompt being that literally that the U.S. education system is failing students? How about that as the prompt?
Sounds good.
That would work.
All right. And you are taking the affirmative that it is in fact failing, correct, Avius? So you will start off.
Yes.
Okay, great. And just give me 1 second, and I will get this reset. There we go. Perfect. And just let me know when you're ready, and I'll hit the button.
Give me 1 second. All right. Yep. Ready.
Go.
Okay. So the U.S. education system, as I just said, when it comes down to high school literacy, we are lower than we were in 1992. 1992, for perspective, was the height of the crime epidemic, right? So that means when it comes down to the average high schooler in the United States, they are reading worse than the average gangbanger in the 1990s. When it comes down to math, we are worse than we were. If I remember correctly, high school math, we are dead on equal with 1992. That means when it comes down to the average high schooler in the United States, we are damn near equal with the average gangbanger in 1992. Now, I'm not saying this in a negative sense of, evil gangbangers. No, I'm saying we are obviously failing our fucking kids if this is what's happening. If every kid has a fucking iPad, if every kid has access to all of this technology, Wikipedia pages, and everything else you can fucking think of, how can we still be failing?
That's time.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Ready, Lethe?
So this is absolutely not about iPads, technology, necessarily even money. It's the fact that parents aren't able to put as much time into their children. By the time they get to high school, they've already failed because they haven't been able to get the rudiments. It's K through 6 teachers that tend to do the most work for making sure that a child is set up to be able to learn properly by the time they get to high school. If you haven't taught them how to read properly by then, they're probably already going to be lost in the wash. And it's up to parents to be able to be available to reinforce these things. So if they're stuck in a job, working 2 jobs, the kids come home, they're not having their education reinforced, you're going to have failing kids by the time they get to high school. So we need to reinforce that K through 6 is important and allow for parents to be able to have a hand in getting those rudiments in order.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news when I say this, but the one thing that you can count on is other people are shitty when it comes to raising their kids, right? I feel like I speak for most parents when I say this, but when you look at the other parent next door, they're always worse than you.
We're not in the argument yet. Hang on.
Oh yeah, my bad.
You're anxious. That's good. All right.
No, I'm learning the format. I'm just going back and forth. That's
yeah. All right. Are you ready? You got 5 minutes. Ready? And go.
Right.
Okay. As I was saying, the parent next door to you, you can always count on is worse than you, right? So you can say that, oh yeah, this is a byproduct of bad parents and they're not readying their kids and the kids aren't ready for reading. Well, to that I say, the reason why we started sending our kids to school in the 1800s was because back then they couldn't teach their kids how to read. So they sent their kids to a building so the building could teach their kids how to read. So if you're telling me right now that, oh yeah, of course our literacy rates are slipping because parents can't spend time with their kids and they can't teach them, well, that tells me the system is failing because the system was literally designed for overworked parents that can't teach their kids. Now, I understand you need to dedicate some time to your kids, and it's very clear to see what parents dedicated their time to their kids versus the kids that didn't have time with their parents, right? That's very clear at the end of the day. However, we still need to address this because at the end of the day, you can't just say, up bad parents and raise your hands, because we're the ones that have to deal with it. My tax dollars have to deal with that at the end of the day. Every person that's sitting on the street addicted to drugs is a byproduct of, oh, well, it's up to the parenting. That's why I'm not satisfied with that answer.
Oh, so it's the drugs that were brought in by outside influences that are the problem? I'm not saying these people are bad parents, and I think you're misrepresenting my argument. I'm saying that the parents aren't allowed to have the time to reinforce the education that these teachers are putting forward. I think our teachers are doing a great job getting all the rudiments out to these kids and setting up a good foundation for them to go on to high school. If they're not having that education being reinforced because they aren't babysitters, because they can't be in the home.
High school literacy rates is worse than they were in 1992. They're clearly not set up for success. I hate to see my generation fail at such a rapid rate like this. This is fucking sad. And I have people telling me, oh, it's because their parents were bad. Yeah, I grew up with these motherfuckers. I know their parents were bad. I know their parents were dedicating time to them. But the fact of the fucking matter is we have to fix the education system because it's not getting better, right? You can say, oh, well, it's because the parents don't have time to dedicate to their kids. Well, do you think a parent in 2025 has more time to dedicate to their kids than a parent in 2010?
I'm saying they absolutely don't, and this is part of the problem because predominantly
so
parents are going to
worse.
spend more time with their kids than the teachers.
So how could you argue the U.S.
subject.
education system is good and or getting better if, as you just admitted, people are spending more time away from their kids? So how could it get better?
Exactly, that's the problem. They're spending more time away from their kids. So if they only get a
so
few
when I'm
hours with
saying
their
it's
kids
getting
per
worse, and
day,
it's just going to get progressively worse.
so let's get some programs together to where parents are able to spend more time with their kids. Let's get more time.
That's not
going to
work because the thing that I need to spend more time with my kids is 60 more fucking hours at my job. That's the thing that I need. I need an extra $20 an hour to spend more time with my kids.
So absent parents
That's
are
just
going
a
to
fact
fix
of
the
the matter.
problem is your argument.
What
has the school system done that's worse at this point than what
I
was
don't
done
know.
before?
I would say headcount is probably a fucking issue, right?
So-
The fact that the average teacher used to have like, I don't know, maybe 60 students and now they're sitting at 300, that probably adds to the problem.
I can definitely agree with you that
Like
more kids in the classroom
having
gives
parents
the teacher less
one-on-one,
time.
having more kids in the classroom would absolutely add to the problem, right? If you're saying they need one-on-one time from their parents, they probably need, more than fucking one teacher for 100 students, right? That would just be common sense. And that's
So
why kids are failing right
You're
now.
just saying kids aren't getting enough one-on-one time, especially with teachers, which could be augmented by more
No, they're
tutoring
not getting
programs.
any time.
That's not a
period.
fault of the education system.
Nobody's even addressing this. Only thing I'm trying to point out is that the U.S.
1 minute.
education system is failing. And when we talk about things like abolishing the Department of Education, that's why I support it. Because obviously right now we're failing when it comes down to education. And we need major reform throughout the entire system to even begin to address these
So you're
issues.
saying-
It's not just, we need to spend more time with our kids. I wish it was that simple.
So you're saying destroy the Department of Education, don't reform it because
Yes.
you can't reform something you destroyed. So you're already just
No,
going to tear
destroy
down
it,
any rudiments
destroy
that we
it,
have
and then
already
rebuild.
that have
Yes,
been working.
okay. Like a phoenix,
Rebuild from what?
from the ashes. It will be amazing.
Rebuild from what? From the
From the
nothing we're gonna
ashes.
do. So it's going to be whoever's in
Yes.
office that's going to set up whatever it is that's already not working. So you're saying
Hey,
that
I would take a gamble with the next guy in office versus the current system we have right now that has given us a education system worse than the one we had in 1992.
I mean, for the most part, all you're saying is that the teachers don't get enough time per student and that the parents working 60 hours also are bad. And
Yeah, and
aren't able
the
to
fact of the
accomplish
matter is the parents are going to have to work 70 and 80 when it comes down to the next decade, right? So that's not changing.
So you're expecting
So
the teachers
at the
to
end
be
of the day, we need some, yes, honestly, yes, that's what we need. We need teachers to be babysitters. We need teachers to be the parents that you
All
can't be
right.
because you're working 70 hours a week.
Gonna need you to pay them teachers more.
Okay.
Hey, we can talk about that later.
That was interesting. I'm going to Tyler first.
Oh man, I'm on the spot here. Okay. Whew, man, that was good. These are being progressively better here. I feel I'm gonna keep this kind of short and sweet here. The point Avius made about the literacy rates of parents during the 1800s who were working more time, which he tried to remake again about 2010 and 2025. Parents are actually working less now than they were at these previous times and more literate now than they were at previous times, yet we're seeing worse results, I think was the winner argument. And you rephrased it 3 different times, 3 different ways. And every time he hit you with a new argument, you found a new way to just keep throwing that in that, like, we're seeing more of what you're asking and we're still seeing declining results. And I feel like that argument for you just kept it real simple and kept hammering that home, and that was your win right there.
Who did you say won, Tyler?
Avius. Surprise! I've never even heard this dude. Killing it.
Yeah, are you new, Avius? Are you like at Fifth Circle? You've been doing this a while? Or?
I've been around for a while. I've been like in the primordial ooze of the debate spaces.
I hear that. Okay, yeah, the ooze, bro. I'm from the news. I'll go ahead and go next, I guess. I gotta say I was very impressed with Avius. However, Lethe, I think I was gonna wager that he was the more experienced bidder. He acted like a more experienced bidder. He was more calm, and I do like the passion that Avius displays. But the one thing that really stuck out to me here was you didn't really offer any solutions. Your solution was burn it all down, and the next guy will do another thing. And Lethe offered
Yeah, I
consistently
realized that at
different.
the end.
Yeah,
I
Lethe
fucked up.
consistently throughout the panel offered several different solutions, and he offered like things that would back it up. I think that was your weakest area, and I think that
That's
think
why I
that's a little
tried to
stronger
throw in the
argument.
Department of Education. At the
Yeah,
end.
and I mean you did a really good job, and I think that I like your argument style. I think it was very good. I just think Lethe maybe slightly pulled out ahead, and I think that like one big thing right there with not hitting him enough with a plan, I think is why I'm going to give it to Lethe on this one. But you did outstanding. You definitely, if you aren't new to this, you're really good. You're gonna be moving up soon on this. I think you're very good at this. And you represent everything I hate too. So like you know that I'm not just lying to you. You know when I say this or gassing you up. So
yeah, same. This is the second time I disagree with you and voted for you. I disagree with both. I agree with both the arguments you went against.
But yeah, Lethe on that one for me. I don't know I guess Chairman, what you got, Papa?
Yeah. So both of y'all are commie adjacent, so I don't respect either one of you. But in terms of logic, Lethe, you made a much more reasonable argument, and I respect you a lot more than I do Avius. And Avius, man, the whole buildings teach our kids how to read thing that you said, dude, that like I laughed. That was hilarious. And it just goes to show that you learned logic in a condemned library with no books, right? So I'm super excited about that. And you definitely won. I scored you at 10 points, Avius, and Lethe at 8, even though you're obviously a moron. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Avius, I actually thought you did really good. I'm not going to ding you for the talking about buildings and shit. You made solid, cogent points about how poor the education system is that can be measured. I didn't actually hear anything on the other side about how the education system is adequate. That's what I was waiting for. I don't know what anybody else heard, but Lethe never said anything about, well, yeah, okay. So our reading, graduating seniors are reading at a third grade level, but, the people who do, but there's this other group of people who do way better and have good grades. Got bogged down in a bunch of weirdness. I don't know. Avius, I think you made actually the only measurable argument. I couldn't measure anything that as a win that Lethe said, although he actually was very rational. He is actually, Lethe, man, you have a really good way of speaking. It's very it's very like it's
personable,
intelligent,
strong without being overbearing. It's very, and that I think it pulls away from other people's arguments because Avius has this voice that's just like, sounds like he's on like Jolt Cola maxed out or something, like he's like wound the fuck up. And so when you compare those,
taken my Ritalin for today. That's the issue
where things kind of went, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So Avius, man, it was good having you. Come back. Hopefully somebody will raise you from the dead.
Good show, bro. You should come back. Grid. I think you do really well in these blood sport formats on grids. I love how on Sarah's panel you're able to stay in a dialogue and stay in like the track that someone brings you into it for like 10 minutes at a time. And so I think this is a great place for you too. I love listening to you. I know I was kind of ribbing you in the chat, but yeah, it's always awesome to see you on panels, bro.
Yeah.
Lethe, can I give you some feedback that might help you in the future?
Right after I say, thank you, Avius. You are an amazing contender, and I was feeling like you were putting me on the ropes, and I had to like keep my composure as much as possible to try to address things and not like end up all over the place. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you as well. You put me on the back foot when you brought up parents, so like I had to strategize around that, and not sound like a fucking monstrous asshole. So yeah, I would have to say the same.
So let's say when your opponent makes up some number like a teacher teaches 300 students today compared to less in the past, just say, hey, dude, you're full of shit. You're just making that up because you ain't got nothing in your argument, right? Because he was just pulling that out of his ass, dude. He didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes down to classroom head count, it has increased substantially over the last decade. The 300 number, yeah, I pulled out my ass, but if I pulled up the actual number, it's probably worse than what I said.
No, it's not. At any rate, I want to move on into the next.
It is worse if I look at states like, New York, California, Washington, states where the states where everybody actually fucking lives. The states where if you pull the population, it equals over, fucking 50% of the United States. Where the people actually live. I'm sorry, people don't live in the middle of fucking nowhere. They live in the actual places like California, right? I don't like it just like you, but we have to accept the facts.
Yeah, you hate normal people, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, they do. All right. They fucking do. Okay. Have you ever seen a pride parade in fucking San Francisco? They do hate normal people. All right. I'll say that right now.
Yeah. All right. So, at any rate, have a great rest of your night, man. Come back, sharpen up your tools. We have a debate request for Clover versus Kel, but I am preempting that because I want to see Tim Hale versus the Duckman. And the topic is going to be insurrection. So all you guys get to the back. This is my ship. I am the commander and you are not. So this is what's going to happen, captains. So let me, I gotta kick some of you, not kick, but just put you guys in the back. All right. Tim Hale, the man himself. How are you, sir?
Yeah. All right. How's it going? Good evening, right?
Good. Duckman, how are you? Feeling good?
Good. Yeah. Tim, this is going to be obviously our first time talking. Your name sounds super familiar, and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully we can have a good conversation. All this.
Yeah. So to refine the topic, since I'm dictating the topic, because I know you're going to both are both going to agree and disagree on this, so I think it's going to be an excellent debate. Duck, you have expressed massive amounts of support for the rioting and insurrection in California and other states. Tim Hale was unjustly imprisoned by our government for what you have multiple termed an insurrection. So the prompt is, why is one an insurrection and the other is not? So let's get into it. And Duck, I believe that you will be the affirmative position here because I believe that you think that California, New York, and et cetera are not, in fact, insurrections, that they are peaceful protest, where I'm absolutely positive that Tim's going to disagree with you on that. So you will.
I'm going to take a nuanced position, but I'm happy to hear what Duck says.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into it. I can't wait. And this is going to be awesome. I can't wait because Duck has made these arguments all week and is very practiced, and Tim lived it. So this will be awesome. I think, maybe not, maybe I just fucked up, but we'll find out soon. Duck, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, start now.
Yeah, so in California and in cities across the United States, and not just right now, but really since Trump's inauguration on Jan 20, there's been protests. Now, the most recent protests are because there's already challenges in court to the constitutionality of many of the decisions that Trump has made, and these are coming alongside heard, felt, seen injustices like high schoolers being taken from classes and put in internment. And so there's a big difference between people displaying civil disobedience, even be it criminal, and Jan 6th, which was a fake news, hateful attempt to overthrow the US government. You cannot separate hatred, you cannot separate the intention. It was meant to disrupt. And I think when we talk about disruption, which we should,
right,
LA is a good thing.
Sorry, Duck, that was your minute. I apologize. I know you had a lot to say there. Tim, whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Yeah, so actually, I think we would find common ground on one thing. We're obviously not going to find common ground on the other. So I'll just say flat out, January 6th was not an attempt to overthrow the government. But I would also say that I'm not convinced that what is happening in LA is also an insurrection either. I actually think riots are a particular thing, and I think insurrections. I mean, there are ways we could, parry about this legally. But as a history major, I would just go with the colloquial, which is that a insurrection is an armed rebellion, like you would have seen in the Philippine insurrection after the Spanish-American War. I think riots have happened fairly frequently throughout the United States and throughout its history. And I know people, again, you could take this or not. I know people who live out in the area. And while the stuff that we see on TV is definitely happening, I don't think the scale of it qualifies as insurrection. I do think that there are people who are getting in the way of law enforcement, federal law enforcement. You could argue, like some people did with the Proud Boy conspiracy thing or the Oath Keepers, that it was sedition, but good.
That's your minute opening. All right, you guys ready to get into this?
Sure.
Excellent.
Would you like me to continue from where I left off, or do you want me to pass it to Doug?
Duck?
Can you hear me?
Duck?
Did he freeze?
He looks frozen. Dang it, Duck.
I can wait.
Duck. Wake up, Duck.
DuckTales. Woo!
Oh, come on, Duck. Don't, not like this, Duck.
Well, anyway,
right.
Tim, the reason I came by is I heard that gun control thing earlier, the argument about guns. I just wanted to say I recommend people read Carol Quigley's Weapons Systems and Political Stability.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an infallible work, but I think that for the left, if you are on the left of the spectrum, I actually think it's an interesting argument to look at the right to bear arms, really. And this might seem obvious to more constitutional conservative types, but if you're on the left, it's worth noting that the right to bear arms and the whole citizen soldier thing is really a byproduct of the Enlightenment. So when you look at how weapon specialization was used to keep certain people, I guess you could say, a more authoritarian state in power, because not everybody had access to certain kind of training or weapons that allowed the system to hold power. When you move forward to the citizen soldier type of thing, as weapons became cheaper and more easily accessible, this really, I mean, you could argue about causation versus correlation, but I think it's worth noting that, the post-Enlightenment era, the Industrial Revolution era, that allowed pretty much everybody to own a gun. And so, the left fears handguns, they fear AR-15s, but they don't fear them because they're dangerous. They fear them because they're accessible. And that, I mean, if you do believe in liberal democracy, I actually think it's actually worth considering. The federal government has become more specialized. So we're actually going back to the Middle Ages. We're going in the other direction. So weapons have become more specialized. Obviously, not everybody can own a Predator drone. I'm not saying they should, but modern weaponry can keep some level of parity. So I think it's worth people who are on the left to consider that. If they want to make real appeals.
You should come by on Wednesday night, and we'll have like a whole long conversation, because I'm in the same boat. I haven't read that book. I'll see if I can't find it, but I have a kind of an interesting take on all of that, and I've lived all over the country, so I've really I feel like that I have some insight, that maybe other people wouldn't have. I don't know what's going on with Duck, so I'm going to bring everybody back up, and we'll just move into the next debate. And because I got to keep it rolling, guys. Got to, the machine doesn't stop. Kel, who are you yelling at?
We have a show to run here, people.
That's right. That's right. Got a show to run. That's what's up. All right. So, who is Duck's back? Duck, your PC dropped. Are you good to go now? All right. Well, just come back up, but calm down a minute. I keep forgetting to drop Grumple. He's it's like every single time I'm like, it's the stash, man.
But I
it's
really
the
like
stash.
Grumple. Can we just leave him here?
No, I mean I can. But
Wait, aren't you supposed to be gone, Leslie, too?
Nah, I won.
he
You
won.
what?
It was the other guy. I keep forgetting the.
There you go.
I keep bringing people back because they're just hanging out. I don't. mean
How'd you win, Leslie? I thought there were 2 votes against you. I know I voted against you.
I voted Leafy.
Oh wait, in the school debate, you and Gibbs voted for Aquavius?
Yeah,
I voted for Leafy.
Oh,
it was.
I voted for Avius.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I voted for Avius.
Oh, you voted for Avius? I thought you voted for Leafy.
No, I said I'd never heard of him before. He did a really good job, and he invalidated the central argument with his point about the 1800s.
Well, now I feel like an asshole. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Because now I've got to tell Lethe he's got to go.
good,
And I like
free.
it. Yeah, great. You're moderately low priced.
Free at last. Free at last.
Free.
Rid,
Okay.
you might try a different prompt on the education thing too if you bring those guys back. Maybe instead of because I noticed, I mean, granted, there were solutions offered to this and that, but I noticed that a lot of the points really were consequential, or really they were based off of descriptive. It is like this, whatever, but maybe a prescriptive debate. What should the education system actually be about? Should it be about mechanical skills and preparing someone for the job market? Which the education system really started focusing on in the early 1900s, or should it go back to the trivium and quadrivium, where the liberal arts are really the main focus? That might be an interesting debate.
Didn't you just
like that? Give me 1 second, guys. Lethe, tell everybody where they can find you, why you're cool, and then go hang out in the chat. Maybe somebody will and why they should bring you back, why they should let you continue forward and to fight again.
Lethe Water Kai on all platforms, because I just am who I am. You've seen this.
Right. Perfect.
There we go.
I guess I'll drop you down. And hey, thanks for dropping by, man. It's been awesome. Everybody's been awesome tonight. Everybody's been really cool. I really having a good time tonight. Duck is back. Duck, are you jumping up? Are you ready to go, or what? Duck, sign of life.
So Tim's a comedian. I hear he's a real riot.
Funny.
A real protest? Don't use that fascist language, pig.
Oh no.
Oh,
very good, very good.
Okay, because his computer.
I'm working on my dad jokes.
There you
Proud
go.
of you.
I thought you were just working on your dad bod, honestly.
Woo! Damn! Shots
Well, they
fired.
both come together.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right.
Thank you. It's making me feel funny.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
Tim was gone for a while. So, Tim, while we're waiting for Duck to figure out how to get back in, you want to tell people what 3 years of your life? Oh no, Duck's back. Never mind. I was going to say what 3 years of your life was like, but Duck's back.
oh, thank God. Thank God we didn't have to get put through that.
I know, right?
Coast is clear.
Saved by the Duck. All
Thank
right.
God.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Kind of, I guess.
Allegedly is good enough.
Yeah. Don't freeze this time, Duck. I wondered, you started roboting, and I thought it was just like a lag in the on my end, but it was you. So don't do that again. It makes me look bad. All
What
right.
does the duck say? Quack, 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 quack.
Yeah. What does the duck say?
What does the duck say?
The duck says he's back. All right. So we kind of had we had the prompt, we had the two intros, which I kind of don't remember now, but and now we're ready to start the debate. You guys ready to go, or do we need to?
Well, I believe we left off with me talking, but then I think Duck froze there. So I don't know if Duck wants
Tim
to.
was talking, and Duck ran for the hill. I mean, Duck froze. So all right, Tim, let me give you your minute, and then we'll go. We'll let you go. All right, you ready? Go.
Suppose so.
Go ahead. Go now.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so I guess I'll just I guess I should start from the beginning then. Yeah, so I would disagree with I would disagree with the classification of January 6th as an insurrection, but I would also disagree with what's happening in LA currently as an insurrection. I do believe that riots throughout American history can be identified as simply riots. When you look at the how much time do I have actually?
26 seconds.
Oh boy, yeah. I think that what's happening in LA is wrong, and there might be people who are interfering with law enforcement, even federal agents. I don't necessarily think that makes it an insurrection. I think insurrection has a historical, but also a colloquial understanding, which is an armed rebellion. January 6th was not that. There are different crimes people committed on January 6th, but it was not an insurrection. That does not, however, mean that what's happening in LA is insurrection either. So I'm open to it being simply a riot.
All right, good.
Yeah.
That was you were like 2 seconds over, but that's fine. I'm gonna allow it. All right, you ready, Duck?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Tim, you're ready. So let's go.
So this is where, before I dropped off, this is where I wanted to jump in and say one statistic everyone should be familiar with is that on day one of the protests, 167 people were arrested for failure to remove themselves. So, when we ask how this can be classified as a riot, even a riot, not even an insurrection yet, I would still need clarification. And secondly, identifying why this could potentially, why some people might call this an insurrection, and why others would need to insist politically that this is a riot. I would still need clarification on that, because I see 200 people willing to go away in handcuffs for the reasons I mentioned earlier, which were that there's vagueness in the law leading to severe injustices, and that's something that citizens have no obligation to let pass by without exercising their rights.
Okay. Keep going. It's a debate.
Yep. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not even going, I'll actually concede all of that. I'll actually grant all that for the argument. I don't see, though, how this is really a disagreement between us at this point, though. I'll say that in terms of it being a riot, I would say that, I'm using this in the colloquial sense, that there was riotous behavior. People are throwing things at cops, and there are people who are burning things, yada, yada. But again, I'm not even suggesting that this is the vast majority of people. I'll say this with January 6th, you had a statute you had a statute derived from the Civil Obedience Act of the 1960s, which was a way to basically crush people who engaged in civil rights protests. It was during the race riot era, and they actually used this for January 6th defendants to say that if you were in an assemblage of 3 or more people engaged in violence, that was civil disorder. So again, we have a federal system. I'm not going to suggest that all laws in California reflect that of the DC code. But if you're going to, if the standards say could be that there is a small handful of people engaged in riotous behavior, that could still be classified as a riot if there's enough of a collection of people.
So,
and I'll say in regard to justice, go ahead.
Maybe you can clarify this for me. So as someone who on January 6th, as maybe an onlooker, I saw this and my immediate reaction was that this is infuriating, and that we needed a securitized response to stop what was happening. The main difference that I see is that I don't see disinformation at the heart of LA. I do see disinformation, conspiracy theories, perhaps the runaway of this nascent new right media, all being at the center of January 6th, where I interpret that to be people that intended or would have gone along with and were hoping to be sort of an accelerant towards the overthrow of the US government and the overthrow of the democratic process. So to me, I don't totally see how these situations aren't even miles apart.
Okay, so, well, a lot of this seems like this is about a subjective feeling about what the justness is of a riot. People riot over sports stadiums or in sports stadiums because of someone losing, even someone winning. People riot over televisions. Now, I'm not equating all of these, but I mean, I think to call a spade is perfectly fine here. So I mean, like one of the things you had brought up is that this protest or riot was it originated from a feeling of injustice. Well, that may very well be true, and I can grant that. But there are a lot of people on January 6th who felt that the election was stolen. You don't have to agree to that, and we can kind of squash that to the side. I know it's YouTube, but if you're the kind of person who went there to protest, you also felt that there was injustice. I don't think that is really I think that's kind of an arbitrary thing to base the definition of a crime on. Again, the justice system has to be blind. Now, with regards to misinformation, that may very well be
but
true.
The justice system, no, wait. Let's stop there, because the justice system doesn't have to be that blind. And this is true when we're seeing, you can actually study and track the rise of disinformation and whatever fake news was, which was just lies. And you see this, and it's really difficult to separate an event like Jan 6th, where with like I mentioned, we've had protests against Trump since January 20th, and I'm not seeing on the left, I'm not seeing disinformation. I'm seeing the same causes Democrats have been beating the drum on, and so I didn't mean to bogart the end of the argument, but I still see a 30-mile gap and a 20-mile bridge. It's difficult for me on the left to not be sympathetic, but it's also difficult for me to be sympathetic towards what I see as a nondescript version of reality.
Okay, but at this point, sorry, go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, that was far more civil than I expected, which is good, I guess. All right, we're just going to go right into the judging. Tyler, where you at on this?
All right. I'm just going to go with the invalidating point. I think won it just because to sum it up quick here. Your only distinction between the two that you highly elaborated was disinformation. I think his argument that these people still felt like they were in the right, they weren't aware that they were consuming disinformation. So your argument about the intent for one side being the reason why it's not bad, blah, 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 but the intent for the other side, despite the fact that they didn't know because they were being lied to, somehow invalidates their intent, even if they felt like they were in the right. I think he kind of took down your argument in that exchange right there. Otherwise, you guys were having a good back and forth. It was really hard otherwise to pick a winner. These are getting real good.
Who did you pick?
Oh, Tim, sorry. I keep fucking doing that, my bad.
And I'd be happy to continue this too. I don't want to interrupt the the thing you got going though, Rich.
Yeah, we'll do it on Wednesday. We'll revisit it because this is now much more interesting now that now we have everything going on in all of these different places. But go ahead, Gibbs. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with.
Wait, sorry, I lost Tyler. So that was Tim, right? I just want to check because I'm on
he
mobile.
invalidated one of your
heard that right.
arguments that was a core to your argument. I didn't hear a good response to it.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
I'm gonna also go with Tim. I think he was a little more articulate. He kind of had more substantive points, in my opinion. He went down the line pretty simply. I think he refuted most of your points. I didn't, especially when he talked about specific case law and then comparison to the local level, the national level, and the historical aspect of that. I think it was a very good synergy, and I think that won it for me for him, in my opinion. But overall, very close. Yeah.
Anson?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I feel like I'm the odd man out on these judging stuff, but my favorite line of this was when Tim said, this is about a subjective feeling of justness, right? I mean, from my perspective, that was like a fortune cookie line he was reading off, or he was trying to, present an image of somebody hugging a therapy llama or something stupid like that, right? Right. So, and y'all said he was more articulate. I just felt like he was more full of like, word salad bullshit. Like from his opening, like he made one solid point, but the rest of it was just meandering. And Duck made, 3 solid points in his opening, and I kind of felt like, he didn't really meander. He was on point the entire time. I scored Duck at 12 points and Tim at 7. So I think Duck won that.
Okay, so Duck, you gotta say goodnight. But honestly, before you do, I want to say I thought that was really good, and it's a better back and forth than I expected. You guys were, and I honestly thought that Duck. I thought you were going to go off the rails, and I was really concerned because I wanted it to be a really good back and forth.
When have I gone off the rails, Grid?
The other night when our discussion, you kind of went off, but it's fine. It's fine. So,
but
you have
Duck is on the rails.
Give you
Duck
that.
is always on the rails.
Yeah.
Wait. Someone pull up the clip, please. I think I have the clip. Yes. No, I'm just kidding.
No clip.
I think it was pretty fun. And if we had more time, I would be glad to go into more case law and historical press.
I'm gonna, and I normally kind of agree with Anson, but I'm gonna disagree with him. Duck, I thought that you just rambled a bunch, and Tim was like, Tim, my criticism to you would be that you were just like, you would let him talk until he quit, and then you would pause, and then you would start talking instead of you weren't like really mixing it up. But that's okay. I understand this is a unique format, and it's a little interesting to get used to when you're trying to do 5-minute rounds. So,
do you mind if I sign off, Grid, and then I'll drop down?
Go ahead, Duck. Have a great rest of your night, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Try and eat some meat.
Yeah, if you guys are in chat, check the XP leaderboard. I'm at Ducks Y. Progressive takes on politics. If you guys want to follow, I do geopolitical stuff. I do politics. I do philosophy. I do some science commentary. So all that stuff there. And so check it out and have a great night. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Vertical streams, and he's got some tinfoil hats to make. Okay.
You have a good night, man.
He does have
Grid. I'm also
keep in touch with yourself.
It's not even joking about the tinfoil hats. Okay, so what I heard was that Patrick, you've got to sign off. Anson, you had paid for him to be back. I don't know how you want to handle that. We could just like put that in the pot for a 1v1 at some point. I don't know, whatever you want to do, just let me know. And but now we have Clovertac versus Kel. Not really sure why we have that debate. That would have been a matchup that I would have picked, but okay, it'll go there. I would have picked Abe versus Kel, honestly.
What? Because you have mercy on Clover? What? Come on, you're messing with the wrong one. You're messing with the wrong one.
He has a weak heart, so.
Cool. Yeah, I can tell by him not camming up, pussy.
Grid, I'm heading off. It was a pleasure being on here. I really appreciate you having me on.
All right, man. Hey, yeah.
Very good showing, by the way.
To the end.
Yeah, you did really good today, by the way.
Yeah, good debates.
Right.
Good debates.
Appreciate you. I'll come around again later. Thank you very much for having me. I'll be around.
All right.
If you're lucky, bro.
Check out that housing document I sent you on Discord.
I very much will. I was actually looking at that a second ago. I'm looking forward to reading that. I appreciate you, man. But until next time, guys, see you later.
We'll see you.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for debating. All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna hide Tim Hale, criminally funny. I think that's hilarious. I mean, who has that
Garfield.
tagline?
Cutie pie.
Patrick, we'll say goodnight to you, Patrick. Patrick?
I'll stay if he doesn't get his credit or anything back.
No, I'll get a credit.
Yeah. Well, I'll credit him. I have no problem for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Rob.
Well, I'll excuse myself then. But I appreciate you having me on, Grid.
Hey man,
And
no
I appreciate
problem.
you.
He already excused you,
Well.
motherfucker. You can't excuse yourself after you got excused, bro. Come on.
Kel is like into this. Like, I think Kel's auditioning for my non-existent co-host.
Yeah, she's
No,
right.
what if I'm always like this, Gibbs? And this is why Gibbs was like, "Hey, I have an idea."
Right?
Yeah. You know, I like to bring people together. It's
Yeah, he tried to bring me on the women's panel first, and he's like, "Don't be so like that. Just
Don't be you. Can you just do like everything, but just not be you? Okay.
Of course.
All right.
Wrap it
So
up.
what are we going to debate here, lady and gentlemen?
Ladies first.
I got a fucking clue. Whatever.
Ladies first. How do you feel? I was thinking maybe like.
Well,
You
he
know,
lives
you're-
in Texas and you live in California.
Right.
There's going to be some contention.
Pretty different. It's pretty
Yeah, I was
different.
thinking maybe like healthcare. How do you feel about healthcare? Or like, I don't know. You know what? Let me let you spitball. I'm new to the debate
Healthcare
space,
sucks.
and everyone's picked all the fucking low hanging fruit already. So we kind of have an uphill battle. Let's pick something
Oh no, I got lots
interesting.
of stuff. Hang on. I got prompts, baby. I got prompts.
Let's
All right,
go.
so let's go with it. Let's see where we at. And actually, I have prompts from all over. Should the drinking age be lowered?
Fuck yeah, I'm down with that one. But no, keep going, keep spitballing.
All right.
Now this guy seems like he wants to debate the wrong or the age of
Every
consent on the wrong side of
citizen
history.
should be mandated to perform national public service.
Should what?
Basically, you would have to serve in a form of government service, either military, whatever other.
Civil service. Some type
Some other civil service. You'd have to go work for a year as radar tech, or go work at an airport or something like whatever. Civil service for some period.
Civil service. I'm down for civil service. I'm down for healthcare. I would imagine we have different health care stances. If you want to spitball like one more, or sorry, I'm yapping. I'm nervous.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's kind of like the Swiss, Israeli, not French. The French don't do it anymore. But all of the Middle European countries where you have to serve.
I actually agree with that. I mean, healthcare sucks. So that's my stance on healthcare. So
yeah,
I don't think we're that far apart on that shit. We might be, but
okay.
I doubt it.
What about nationalism versus globalism?
Yeah, that's way outside my wheelhouse. I would make it bullshit.
I would smoke you on that.
Yeah.
Is our election process fair?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
I don't know where do you stand? Is it fair?
We'll go to
no, we should probably redo the electoral college, but I'm like, I wouldn't say that I'm 100% totally, amped and educated to talk about it. I could probably, I mean, I could, any of these arguments I could, make a good argument on, but.
Is pornography the same as prostitution?
I mean, I don't think it is, do you? So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It is the same as.
I mean, you're selling sex, so yeah.
Okay. God damn it! Here we go. Women on to talk about women's issues. Here we go. Let's go. This is a good one though.
We don't have to. We can keep rolling. Let's see.
No. I like that one because that's a pretty vague enough prompt that I'm like, I could smoke you in that. Easy dub. Easy dubs in.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty degen topic. So,
I say we do that one.
You want to do that one? All right. Pornography is the same as prostitution. Let's go.
Okay, ladies first.
So,
you want to give your opening
uh,
statement, Clover?
Clover Tack is going to take the affirmative because he thinks it is. You're going to take the negative because you don't think it is. And Clover, you get 1 minute to make your to do your opening and position, and then we'll let Kel go, and then we'll go. All right. So 1 minute starting now.
So I'm going to take the position here that yes, that pretty much any work involving, a sexual nature, especially that leads to gratification, that being in person, hands on, or otherwise, can be considered prostitution because sex in and of itself is a very personal, touchy feely thing that invokes emotion, involves attachment, and can be to absolute mental detriment to people if it's done in a, let's just say, a degen way, right? Outside the bonds of marriage, outside the committed relationship, and outside of even monogamy for that matter. Yeah, I'll yield the rest of my time and just say that yeah, if it's dealing with the selling of sex, prostitution.
All right. Good call. All right. Ready, Kel?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, I would argue that if you first think of it in the order of consumption, right? You wouldn't say that watching porn is the same as getting a hooker, right? So you say that any work relating to sexual gratification implies that you're prostituting yourself. I would disagree. I would say there's many avenues for people to do that independently, especially in today's age. There's more and more avenues for people to do that in a safe and independent way without a porn producer calling them to the casting couch. You say that it's because sex equals emotional attachment. I would say there's plenty of people who can differentiate sex and relationships and separate themselves from that act. And for some people, it's just at the end of the day a way of making ends meet. If they're staying safe, work is work. Same way that some people, okay, I don't agree, but the U.S. military, some people might say that you're a terrorist or whatever the hell crazy stuff has been said on Twitch. I would disagree with that, but work is work at the end of the day, and plenty of people can separate themselves from a vocational path like that.
All right. That both of you guys did very well. All right. 5 minutes on the clock and have at it.
So it sounds like you might be going down some type of a road to where you're pointing out the morality of prostitution and or sex work, or that it should or should not be legal. You're not making any type of arguments along those lines, correct? Because my understanding, that wasn't really the prompt.
No, I was just countering you said, oh yeah, well, sex is very emotional. So when you say that, oh yeah, it creates an emotional attachment. So any kind of work that relates to gratification inherently means prostitution. That inherently pertains to morality. So I was just inherently going back to debunk your argument. You were trying to relate to morality. But if we go back to the original prompt, right? Porn does not equal prostitution. You're saying that it does because it's the work of sexual gratification, which inherently brings it back to morality. So I'm saying that's retarded. Sorry, that's silly.
Okay, so then you talk about the sex work in the area of, let's say, the OF, right, the cam girl type situation. So the difference being there that essentially there's a camera. I mean, there's no other issue. You could essentially hire a prostitute. You could put a camera in the room and have the prostitute do the things with your friend and film it. How is that any different? What's the difference in between those two?
Do you think that women have a higher probability of being exploited if they're in a position to have sex with
Well,
random
now you're
people?
talking about but no, you're changing the prompt here. You're moving now to
No,
which is more dangerous.
No, you said what's the difference? What's the
same?
difference? I said one's more inherently dangerous than the other. That's the difference. I'm answering your questions. You're you're pivoting. I'm no, I'm answering your question, you retard.
Are we gonna keep using that word? I mean,
no, sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. Point stalked.
Yeah. So I don't. That's my stance. Is I don't see the difference in you talk about the danger, and I mean that's irrelevant when I mean whether it is or it is not prostitution has nothing to do with the dangers of said thing. So and then so I don't get the delineation that you're making between the pros. I'm not making a delineation. I'm taking the affirmative and saying, hey, this is the same thing.
Right, and I'm
And
telling you
so
the
far, I haven't
delineation
gotten a
is the
delineation.
I'm
Your
telling you what it is.
delineation
You're just not
is
listening it. I'm like, I'm sorry, your like smooth wet brain is too old to process what I'm saying. One, you are inherently like you have to put yourself in a position to be around a group of other men and have sex with them. One, you can like suck a dildo in your room and make money off it. Maybe your kids will see it and it has the same later implications, but that has nothing to do with like your like inherent. It's like about agency at the end of the day.
but
Like
you just said it has the implication later, so I don't understand
right, but
what's
that's
the
not the
difference
argument.
between
It's about
now and
does
later.
porn equal prostitution? Because it's not about will your feel the
Are you not selling your body in some way?
Is that what prostitution is defined as? Prostitution is defined as selling sex.
We
Defined
never
as
really come down to that, but in a
okay, yeah, we
sexual
should start
manner, you're
there. We
selling
should
your
start
body
there.
in a sexual manner, correct?
Okay, so I would define prostitution as the act of selling a sexual act.
Okay, and with OF, you're selling a sexual act through a camera.
An image, a digital image is different
It's
than putting
still
yourself in a
you're
position
still
to be on.
selling. Okay, so the medium.
You're
So
not on
if
the
it was a
casting couch,
fucking
though.
cave painting, it would not be. It's not prostitution because it's a cave painting. Like what the fuck?
I'm not
What
saying
difference
that
does it make?
people won't use the stuff in the same way, but I'm saying you're in the production of it, you're in a way less severe position. That's crazy.
So
like that's like you don't understand like the hole in your
yeah, I
own
do
argument.
understand.
What I'm
What
saying.
you're saying is the way that it's used by the consumer dictates
No,
what
I'm
it
not
is.
saying the consumer. I'm saying in the production. I started with the consumer edge because I said if you got caught by your girlfriend and you got caught watching porn versus buying a hooker, would the argument be the same? So that's where I started. But then I pivoted to the production side and I said on the production side, as a woman, you're in a way less dangerous
Well, the
position
argument
sucking a
in that
dildo in your bedroom
in
than
that
you are
instance, the
fucking being on the
argument could
casting couch.
absolutely be the same if it was, if it was in the confines of a relationship. I mean, that's one could be just as bad
I'm
as
not
the
asking
other.
what your future boyfriend thinks about it. I'm saying, are the ramifications the same for being a hooker versus being a cam girl? Like those are not the same level of danger of that you don't have the chance of like the same chance of getting paid where you like on OnlyFans you can do like you can literally manage yourself and have your own like income. You're not like counting on like, okay, after I suck your dick, I'm gonna get my $500. Like, hopefully, if I don't fucking get my ass beat or like end up in a ditch or some shit, like you're like you're so silly. You're like, oh, the danger has nothing to do with it.
Well,
I'm
so
like,
it's
yes,
just
it fucking
it's just a different
does.
way to do
You
it.
asked me the
So what
difference.
if
I
you
told
have
you the difference.
so
Boom.
what if you
Argument
have a
debunked.
if
Boom.
you have a so if
I
you have
think
a
I made my
sex
case,
robot
ladies and
that you
gentlemen.
control remotely and somebody pays to have sex with that robot remotely, that's not prostitution? Is that what you're saying? Just because
All
of the
right.
way
No,
it's
I don't
done?
think fucking a robot is prostitution because the robot doesn't make any money from it, and the robot doesn't fucking like. What are you talking about? A person buys a robot to have sex with. That's it. And you say I'm
Okay.
moving the goalpost or pivoting, bro, motherfucker. I think I just wiped the floor on my first debate, motherfucker.
Okay. All right.
But I did use the R word too much.
And I got my ass
Okay.
kicked on my first debate, so whatever. Like
All
it
right.
is what it is.
So Gibbs.
Hey, that was something.
That was something.
It was definitely something.
I was something.
Evening.
Well, I gotta say, that was pretty solid. I was very impressed at the beginning. How,
Hey, I need before the judges
Go ahead.
give me that seriously was like my first real actual debate. Had conversations a lot, so specificity would be appreciated. Just so
Yeah, no,
just
we
so
should have started with terms. It's my first real
I
debate
got-
too, and I think both of us should have started with terms, like 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, no, y'all did good. So watching this, right? Okay, y'all's openings were both solid, right? I think that really separated in the middle, right at the beginning. Cal kind of went off on this tangent, and I was like, "What is she talking about?" And then she brought it back to like, "Oh, the military argument, anything that's terms of gratification. But by your definition, that's what it is. Then all of this is prostitution." And you didn't really debunk that, and you kind of let that one slide a little bit, in my opinion. You did fight against the sum, but I wasn't really satisfied. The thing that really boned you, though, Clover, was very specific for me. I thought it was even until you went with the cave painting being prostitution route. That one, like nobody thought cave painting is prostitution, and nobody thinks fucking a robot is prostitution. That one lost it for me. You used that as an antidote, and that like backfired, I think, pretty significantly. And all she had to do at that point was not lose. Because and like when I just that was the one that really turned it for me. But those two things are good. But overall, very good for both of y'all, especially if it's y'all's first times.
Cool.
Yeah, good job, Clover.
Tyler,
Kel, you're very mean, Kel. Very mean, Kel.
Yeah, Kel, I like the energy that you brought to the blood sport debate.
I
can tell you.
Sport.
Yeah, you guys both kind of floundered around there like two fish out of water a little bit. I wrote here for like a bit of the debate. Lots of circling the drain. I will say the best argument you're making, I kind of want to sum up like as you were essentially arguing is the swimsuit catalog porn by saying these are images, these are videos. I'm not actually selling the actual act of sex. I'm selling a video of it. How the consumer chooses to use that video, is up to them. And I think that separation was only met. I haven't met a couple times with just no, it's not, and it's still the same, and it's still selling your body in some way. But like. And so is the definition Clover was using also encapsulated entertainment, sexual entertainment, and I feel like you pointed that out in a roundabout way. I would have liked to hear some more on the nose critiques, but you guys are both new to it, you'll learn those buzzwords and things. I think you had the best argument.
So what would be an example of being more on the nose with that?
Being more on the nose with that was more for her saying like you needed to hammer down on this point a little bit harder that one's an image. You were doing the right argument. You just I don't know. I just feel like you were kind of losing. You made a lot of assertions. You kept coming back with her, but it is still selling. It is still this. Even though she was making counterpoints, you just kind of said nah. And I just don't feel like you backed that argument up enough when she was addressing it directly. That whole point that you went on calling her out for the safety argument, fantastic job there. Like you did great on that end. That was a really weak point that I don't think fit that well. Even though she did bring it around, I don't think it was that specific point was brought around at all enough to a win. I think you really gutted her there, but the big turner was her invalidating your central point.
Mm-hmm.
And Anson.
Yeah, Kel, you're an ad hom factory. You constantly ad hommed, and Clover actually called you out on it after you did it a few times. And it's really pathetic to have to rely on that for your argumentation. It makes you look weak and stupid. I guess the part that really sold it for me is when you tried to go off the rails and argue off prompt. Clover brought you back on prompt, and you tried to pretend like he didn't, but he did. And also, the whole like he was arguing about ethics thing. You argued about ethics and brought new ethical ideas into the argument also, and you were basically accusing him of what you were doing, which was really sly. And Clover, you don't need to just take her word for it when she says shit. All right. So when you were saying if your girlfriend caught you watching porn, would that be any different than getting caught with a hooker? Right. So that's a moral argument, right? And and it's a moral argument from degeneracy because you're a degenerate bimbo, right? And so that's the level that you were arguing from. And so what I saw was Clover owning you. He got 12 points. You got 8. Clover, you won that. Don't listen to these other two judges. You did really fucking good, dude.
Word.
Well, it was a mess from my standpoint, but
Clover,
all the way around.
That you could have really done better. Obviously, the cave painting thing, you got excited, which I'm not going to ding you for. I would not have dinged you for that. However, what I think that you missed a couple of really golden opportunities. Anson's right. You had her on the ropes pretty much the entire time. All she could do is come back with, but it's not a big deal because it's safer. It's not a big deal because of this. But the problem is it didn't address the prompt of it is in pornography is prostitution. And she actually opened the door by saying, well, if you get caught, what's the result? And why are men doing this? Well, and all you really needed to say to have slam dunked this is it's the same end result. These men are watching pornography for sexual gratification, just like they go to a hooker for sexual gratification.
Yeah.
No difference.
Well,
and
watching your
Grid,
boyfriend.
Grid, let me ask you a question. Grid,
Yeah, I was probably
okay.
thinking that in my mind. I just didn't. I didn't say that.
Grid, can I ask you
But
a
I would
question?
not break up with my
Like,
boyfriend for
if I
he
jack
watched
off to a
porn.
cave painting, that's the same as a hooker, bro.
I understand that you
Come on.
wouldn't, Kel, but like my wife would be like super pissed if I was watching porn.
If you pay, we're
like
talking
you
about.
What about if
so
it was a
in this
cave painting, Grid?
context? So hold on. In this context, we're talking about you paying somebody to draw a cave painting for you, then you to do your business to.
What if
Yeah,
you
like-
are a cave painting?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of deep
What about
questions.
the swimsuit magazine from Sports
probably a-
Illustrated? Is that fucking
That's
prostitution?
It's just a bad analogy.
It's the same thing. It's
bad-
women scantily clad selling their body for
Honey,
sexual
is there an
benefit.
annual subscription for your
Yeah,
swimsuit catalog?
Sports Illustrated there is. Yeah, I mean, Maxim,
My
whatever,
page is
Playboy.
69.
Like,
Look, Sports Illustrated for the last like 10 years has been straight up porn, dude. Like,
oh, well.
like that's a bad example. You should pick another
I
example.
mean, I don't know about that one, man. I mean, when's the last time you saw someone getting fucked in fucking Sports Illustrated? I ain't never seen that. Like, I think
That's
I've
not
never
bad.
been porn. I
Patriots
mean,
in
like,
the Super
you
Bowl.
have somebody. I ain't seen somebody in Sports Illustrated spreading it hustler style. Have you seen that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I looked at a Sports Illustrated in a while, but the last one I saw, it was basically straight up porn. So, but I would also make the same
Did your wife tell you that?
determination.
on the prompt or on the topic. At the end of the day,
No
like,
Sports
I
Illustrated
don't
feed,
really fucking care about it either. I don't know if that made a difference or not, but I
I
didn't
don't
want to
either.
go. But I didn't. You notice I didn't push a 2A thing. Like I really didn't want to go down that road because this was like my first time to do this, and like just seemed like the low hanging fruit she was talking about earlier. Like I didn't really want to go down that road.
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds like a whole lot of cope.
I
and
just,
see-
well, hold
I
on,
could have
Grid.
done
I want
better.
you to explain to me though, Grid, because you're kind of taking. I'm just curious, Grid. I want you to tell me how a cave painting is prostitution.
Well, no, I told him I wouldn't have done that. That's bad because
Perfect.
the prompt though was pornography versus
Right.
prostitution,
So
and,
if I
and
draw a
my
sexy cave
assumption,
painting-
and she could have clarified this, and she didn't. But my assumption is, as well as Clover's assertion, was that you're paying for it. So if you're paying for it, it's the
I don't
same.
think we. I don't think we defined that.
I'll give you one plan.
prompt
for
was
the cave
pornography
painting. Done.
equals pornography equals prostitution,
Yep.
and that like pornography you don't pay for like all
Yeah,
the
you
time.
do.
Like what?
Yeah, you do.
You don't have to.
It
You don't have
somebody
to.
gets paid
Well, that's not
somewhere.
implied
Well,
inherently.
well, there's more to it too than just if you're paying for the porn. There's also is someone being paid to make the porn. So I mean,
No, I totally made my point because porn is free. I totally like, bro. Yeah, you guys are tripping. Not the average consumer does not pay for porn. Pornography does not equal. So that's why I started by making my point on the the consumer versus on the consumer side.
Hell,
And then
I
pivoted.
I realize that you're new to the world compared to Clover. So I'll explain this to you. When you get on the internet and you don't pay for things, you're still paying for things with your information, and someone's
No
paying
shit.
for the internet. So
Yeah,
it's still being paid for, even though the
Talking about, like,
transaction
ethical
isn't apparent.
Consumption, but if we're talking like down to the roots of the ethical consumption side of things,
Hmm.
but we're like that's not what we're talking about. We're saying does porn equal prostitution? So we're not saying if we're not getting down to the meta of like does like the end or like the base
should've.
like initial result.
You
We could have, but we didn't. Like we were very much at the
Yeah,
surface
you-
level of it.
you-
I
you
think
did
I
I'm more
agree.
interested. I'm more interested in, look, again, because I don't really care one way or the other about the prompt. I'm more interested in like where things went good, where things went bad.
I
like
think
the
the
debate
biggest
strategy
problem
side
we
of
had
things.
with
That's
Clover
my thing more than arguing. I'm done with arguing the prompt, right? Like I know.
Yeah. You laid the Clover. You laid the groundwork, drawing the comparison of pornography and prostitution being, women are getting paid for sex. You laid that groundwork. She did not really refute you on that. At the end, when she did come back and say, well, it's whatever, it's harmless, it's safer and all this other stuff. And you really missed the opportunity of just looping it right back to yes, but and also the would your boyfriend or whatever get mad? Boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. Would they get mad if you're watching porn versus if you're having sex with a prostitute? Well, we don't know, but it's all paying for sex, and the end result is the
but that's my point. It's paying for sex. You're not paying for
factor. I think that would have made the argument a lot stronger. I don't know how anybody else feels about it. I just I think that you had I think you did well. I so that's my critique.
It was fun.
I think a lot of this boils down to it really is just a system of ethics, as I can find colloquial definitions that can say either it is the engagement in sex acts for money, or it specifically requires another person engaged in it. So you really have to hone in on the definitions.
Yeah, it's always beneficial to take a moment and say, let's agree that this is this, right? And just lock those definitions in, because then later,
valid.
Later on in the discussion, in the argument, when someone tries to weasel around it because you've got them pinned, you can say, no, we agreed back in the beginning, and
and I feel like there was a lot definitionally and that's not a fucking word, but either way, that that there was no clarification that's on it.
Yeah.
We were like almost through our conversation, and we were both like, definitions.
Yeah.
All right. Clover, you got to go.
Cool. Yeah, that's all good.
Love you, man, but you
Later.
got to get out of here. Go away. Leave me alone. And we'll talk later. And then there are three. Who shall it be?
Grid, I am actually going to take this meritorious occasion to fuck off. It's 2:30 here. I literally just showed up to say hi, and here I am.
Just fuck right off then. Just fuck right off, Tim.
I guess I'm going to go fuck off. A little later, Grid.
Tim, come by Wednesday night, man. I want to have a conversation with you.
All right, man. Take it deep.
All right, man. See you. So then there were two.
So I want to take this opportunity to use that $50 credit that I have left over and picked the prompt.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the prompt is a woman's place is in the home, and if she belongs in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen.
Damn.
Warmer in there.
How much do you make a year? Let's start there.
I make $130,000.
That's not enough.
Going after the judges, interesting strategy. Cotton. We'll see how it works out for you.
It's not enough for a fucking full household, bro.
Well, it's not enough in California. That's for sure. Other places probably
$5,000 a year is really nice.
I gotta keep up all of my Twitch subscriptions. It's gonna be like at least $200,000 a year, bro. Just kidding.
I don't know what that means.
It's a joke.
You wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Abe, you where you at on this one?
Tired. I'm tired mostly.
Yeah. Hey man, I appreciate you.
I'll
hanging
argue
out
the affirmative. I'll
being
argue the affirmative. Why not?
You've been a trooper. All right, so
dude, I streamed all night last night and then into today. Did VK this morning and then came here.
Yeah, you know when I started, I did that same shit, and I was like, you know what, 3-hour shows. That's it.
Just to clarify the prompt is a woman's place is in the home, and if she's in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen. So it's not an argument of whether or not she belongs there in the home.
Wait, say it again.
So you can't dispute that part of it?
No, the presumption is
that's a dumb argument.
A woman's place is it? No, it's not. It's straight from.
I'm not going to make a debate with an assumption already made. That is
it's straight from Leave It to Beaver. Okay, a woman's place is in the home, and if she's in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen.
I can't engage in this debate because I don't agree with the first part of the premise. A woman's place is in the home. Okay, so we agree, right? So blah blah blah. I'm like, no, we can't have that debate because I don't agree on the first part.
Well, where else do you think a woman belongs in a home?
Well, okay. If she might as well be in the kitchen, bro, you better be like making enough to get DoorDash, bro. I had a strong, independent mom and a stay-at-home dad. It's not looking good. I have a septum piercing.
Lean on your last argument and say she needs to be in the bedroom in front of a camera. Then I don't care.
For sure, dude. That'll help. What's it?
What the fuck?
The freaking aliens are coming and shit.
Were you playing with the soundboard, Abe?
Sorry.
I don't
no.
have a soundboard.
No, that was
Oh,
my
you don't?
alarm. My
Oh,
bad.
you got to get one of those.
I set it for 11:30 a.m., not p.m. Very helpful.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let me help me understand this prompt because Anson.
Okay, a woman's place is in the home.
Uh-huh.
And if she is in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen.
Well, what would be the negative? That she doesn't belong in the kitchen? That
Yeah,
she
Well, you know, if you think a woman's place in the home isn't in the kitchen, where is the woman's place at in the home?
I thought this was a serious debate show.
This is a serious debate show.
So, well, you better come up with a serious topic then, buddy boy. Come on,
That is totally 100% serious.
Counter argument: a woman does not belong in the home.
Oh no, that's okay. You can debate off prompt. That's fine. That's up to you.
We can engage in the first part of your prompt.
Yeah.
That's an argument. Do I have to do your prompt? Is that like part of the show?
It was paid
Sorry.
for.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Prompt.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand. Okay, all right.
Pay for the prompt.
Okay, do you want to start? Or
All
do you
right.
want me to start?
All right. So, well, who's got the positive position here, Anson? You got.
Well,
me on-
Abe already said he'd take the affirmative.
Okay. All right. Abe's holding it down for patriarchy. That's what he's doing.
Okay.
All right. So
I'll start. Can I start? May I?
well, Abe has to start. He has
Okay.
the affirmative. So
Yes.
just
You
calm
want the
down.
first president
Calm down. Yeah.
or something.
All right. This is this is something. All right, Abe, you ready?
Oh man, I guess.
All right, man. Let's roll with it. In 1 minute.
Okay. It is man's responsibility to care for his woman. If she is in the home, she should be in the kitchen so that she can make him food, since he's going to be out earning the money and taking care of the needs of the family. So she should be in the kitchen making the food for the family.
You have a minute. Keep going.
I'm good.
All right,
You
that
gotta
was a
keep going.
15-minute opener or 15-second opener. Wow, I'm tired too. All right, are you ready, Kel?
Mhm.
Okay, Kel. All right.
Okay.
Do your best.
If we are under the assumption that a woman ought to be home, then we are under the assumption that a man ought to be making a lot of fucking money. So I'm under the assumption that I ought to be wherever the hell I want in the home and ordering DoorDash if I so fucking please. Opening statement.
Okay. All right. 5 minutes on the clock. And go.
If the man is bringing in all the money to take care of you as the woman, then why would you not be in the kitchen?
I'm definitely for sure going to be in the kitchen sometimes. I'm about to cook for them as much as I cook for myself. Like, expect some Kraft mac and cheese. Expect.
Well, then you're going to be in the kitchen.
Right, but by saying she ought to be in the kitchen, by saying when a woman ought to be, if a woman ought to be home, then she ought to be in the kitchen. Let's start by definitions, right? Let me learn from my past mistakes. If she ought to be in the kitchen, that means that is the place that you presume she should be. I'm saying that's going to be a minority of my time.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a majority of the time. You have 3 meals a day to make, whether it be for your husband or for the children. That means you're going to be spending multiple hours at several times a day, every day in that kitchen.
No, if we're under the first part of the assumption of the prompt, if a woman ought to be home, like I said, a man ought to be making a lot of fucking money. So
Barefoot, pregnant.
I'm sorry,
in the
I'm
kitchen.
gonna make food like twice a week. I'm gonna make food like twice a
Nope.
week.
No, because he's making all that money. He ain't going to give you jack shit if you ain't making food.
Well, that's why I'm gonna be streaming. I'm not gonna have time to cook all the time.
Well,
if a
he's not
woman
gonna
ought
have
to be
internet
home,
now.
then she ought to be on her fucking computer.
There ain't gonna be
streaming and
internet
fighting
then.
with random.
If he's
Huh?
bringing home
Get
all
rid
that
of the
money, he's
internet?
not gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna supply
I'm
you
gonna
with
cook.
whatever
I'm
you
just gonna
want.
cook as much as I cook for myself. Okay, wait. I have a solution to all of this. Stouffer's mac and cheese in the
Nope.
oven
No
3
way.
times a day.
No way.
Yes.
Steak and eggs. Nope.
Mm-mm. No, I'm a vegetarian. I'm not cooking meat.
Too bad.
Mm-mm.
He wants meat.
Too bad.
He wants steak. He wants roast. He wants all the good things. He wants bacon.
Bro, I'm like
bacon.
5'11". I'm like literally
Bacon.
5'11". I don't know who you think you're fucking with, but like he
I'm
ain't got a chance,
6'4".
Bro, he ain't got a chance.
So what?
I'm not making steak and eggs. I'd crack an egg on his head before I'd cook
Well,
eggs.
You'll be in the kitchen. Either way,
I
you got to be in the
might be
kitchen to
there
crack the egg
sometimes.
on his head.
By saying ought to be, no.
You
I'm
just
gonna
keep
fucking-
saying you're going to be in the kitchen. You just keep saying it.
I'm saying I will sometimes. Yes, I've already conceded on that point. But by saying ought to
What?
be, let's define ought.
It's too late.
Hey Siri, define ought to be.
The phrase ought to can be defined as something that is morally right to do.
So
or
you're
that
saying
it
that
is
it is morally imperative for me to be in the kitchen?
If he's making the money for you to have a house, yes.
When is that said in the prompt?
If your place is in the house, which the prompt said, it's your place in the house.
So
The kitchen.
you're making a lot of assumptions, and I'm not comfortable with
No, he made the
So you're
assumption
saying,
with the prompt, not
so,
me.
No, so maybe it's because if a woman ought to be home, a woman because I'm bringing in all the money streaming. Counter
Nope.
argument. Yes. Uh-huh.
Nope.
Yeah. So maybe if
No,
a woman
because a good
ought to be
husband's
home,
not having
it's
his wife
because
stream
she's
for a
fucking
living.
bringing in the big bucks as a big famous
Nope.
Twitch streamer. Yeah. So she
No,
ought
because
to
she
be
won't be
home
married.
because she's on stream all the time, bro. Yeah, and she is married, and he got to go out of the house so she can have like the house for herself for
Sure.
stream.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes. Yes. I
Nope.
just debunked your entire argument.
No.
Argument one.
You didn't.
Yes,
No, I just
I
cut
did.
the internet.
Cut the internet.
You're not going to
Crazy.
be there.
Divorce papers. No,
In the
you would
kitchen or
actually get
gone.
hit with a prenup. You would get hit with a prenup.
In the kitchen or
because, like
gone.
I said, if a woman ought to be home, it's because I have a big work from home job that I have a contractual obligation to be at, and you just got served.
And that's going to last so long.
You just got served.
10 years from now, you'll be in the kitchen either way.
Bro, how many times do you not cook for yourself at all? Ever?
I have, yeah.
Same. I'm about as competent in the kitchen as you are. I'm like, I think we both are so skinny enough that I'm like, it won't be an issue for a while.
But you didn't disprove the point.
Here, I did. Ready? Look, you just got served. Divorce papers. Because if a woman ought to be home, then she ought to serve her divorce papers because her streaming career is taking off. If I had fucking all the hours at home, bro, it's over. It's fucking over.
No, you would be taking care of children as a wife.
No,
and a homemaker.
no.
Yes,
no.
yes. That's why the kitchen. Yes.
No.
Yes,
no,
absolutely.
No. Stop. I'm getting
It's
like
how civilization continues to exist. So it's that or
you want
civilization
my
dies
gene
because
pool?
women are
Want
all on
my
the
gene
streams.
pool out there? Yeah, you think our civilization is gonna be good because of my gene pool? My gene pool is gonna take out of school.
Then maybe you need to be like in a padded jacket in the kitchen.
No, I just wouldn't pass it on. I wouldn't take the risk. It's like in the bloodline, like in the fam bam.
We're extending this 2 minutes.
Oh dear God!
No.
So what purpose does this have at this point?
Okay. I think your hat's stupid and you
Take
wear it
for
to try and.
2 whole minutes.
You think what?
I think your hat is very stupid, and I think you use it to try and hype up your own credibility. Counter argument.
Actually, it's a running joke that you missed
Tell
because
me-
you weren't here because you were in the kitchen.
Right. Okay. Is the beard fake too, or? Oh, I knew it was real, bro. It's just an actual Reddit mod. You just use the hat to like hide the fact how disgusting your beard and your mutton chops are. You're like, it's fine.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, bro?
I don't
Why
have
do you
any
have
reason to
mutton
hide
chops
anything.
in today's Lord of an age of 2025? You look like the Amish, bro.
Good.
Yeah. Is the hat
Because my
compensating
wife's
for
in the
something else?
kitchen.
Yeah. Bro, cat.
Yeah.
I'm like, get her on stream right now or I don't believe it.
You could not believe it all you want. She's sitting in the kitchen right now.
This man is not married.
I promise you I am.
Free Amy. Free Amy. Okay, so can you concede that you
I don't
lost the argument?
I don't have to make her be in the kitchen. She chooses to be in the kitchen because she's a good wife.
That's great. That's great. Are you flexing your
'Cause that's-
relationship?
No, I'm just telling you. Like that's where she chooses to be.
Can you flex like your body? Can you show us like the good diet she's supplying you with? Because I
No.
guarantee, bro, you do not look like she's been feeding you well. She looks like she's been feeding you to poison you, to fatten you up and fucking embarrass you.
Wait, you just said I'm skinny and then you said I'm fat. Like what? Which one is it? Like because it can't be both. Like
Problem?
disanalogous. Like doesn't fit. nice schisms you got?
You lost. Here, kinetic L.
I think I won in the beginning, so.
No, you didn't, bro. You haven't countered my point. That we haven't
You
even
didn't have a
established that
point.
if a woman ought to be home, we haven't established what that means. That doesn't imply like it could
You
mean that
already
she's home.
conceded that you would be in the kitchen.
No, I literally said that it could be that she's either streaming or
No,
he's
you
making
said,
all the
you
money.
literally said, I concede that point.
That is not true. Are you fucking? You're literally just bullshitting, dude.
It was weird that neither of you wanted to go the 2 more minutes, and now you won't quit going back and forth on this. This is pretty fucking funny, honestly.
Dude, this is brain rot content. I'm like, Gibbs, they're supposed to take me seriously on here. Fuck.
Well, I gotta be honest.
Funny.
I wasn't expecting this as the topic. This is a surprise to me too. So, we all learned something today. I don't know if we learned anything good today, but we learned something. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I thought it was super interesting, Gibbs.
What did you discern from that? Let me hear what you've discerned. I'm ready. Maybe you can teach me a lesson I missed. I'm excited.
So
Please.
Abe was making a duty-based argument based on traditional cooperative models of healthy, functional relationships in society. And Kel was making a materialist argument based on money because modern people in the postmodern paradigm are very me centric. That's why she was from the start, he better be making a lot of money for me because all she really cares about is the transactional nature of a relationship, and it's disgusting.
So true.
Well, skinny fat's a thing, I want to say, for record. So, I mean, they don't want to be being fed looking like skinny. I think Kel makes a good example just with talking that this is the prime example of why you don't want someone in the kitchen. If you think I'm going to eat Kraft mac and cheese the rest of my life, fuck all that. That sounds fucking terrible. And I probably make enough money to fucking have some stay-at-home wife, and I'd rather cook anyway. That sounds... I ain't met a woman that cooked better than me in the first place. And listen, this is a vegan person. That sounds terrible. And if there's one of her, there's 1,000. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad because I know Abe didn't really want to do this topic. I feel like, but he, took over the team.
I didn't want to either.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Sure, yeah, but he took the AF. I think earlier he was arguing a left position. So I'm sure he just did this for the meme. So props to you on that. Yeah, I think we all lost in the end on this, but I did laugh a lot. I guess I'm gonna go Kel just because fuck it, why not? It's 1-1 now.
Now you guys deciding vote here. Okay, so
I didn't say who I was voting for.
Oh shit! I thought you did.
Well,
I guess I'm going Kel. So it's 1-0.
Yeah, I'm giving I was actually giving the win to Kel because I thought that she made a better argument, and Abe didn't really back up any of the details related to the cooperative nature of the duty-bound portion of why the woman belongs in the kitchen. And Kel did a very good job of her materialist nonsense where she was all like me. And then she brought in the whole, she could be the boss babe in the home thing, which is the modern feminist paradigm that they all cling to, the lie that you can have everything. So it's like she tied it all together, right?
I got nothing. This has been a very good show. I don't know what's happening anymore. He got me.
So you know how like when gold sifters in the 1940s went out to California and picked up big sheets of like shit out of the river and tried to sift a couple nuggets? I feel like I did that with this debate, but instead of it being in the river, I was literally shit. I was sifting through for 1 or 2 nuggets of gold.
The Tijuana River.
I think your strongest point that you had there that Abe kept doubling down on, which was a loss to him, was you're still in the kitchen, but you said, I'm not going to be in there any more than I would normally be for myself. It's not my duty. It's not my ought. There's no moral imperative for me to do this. And if I'm earning more money, that motherfucker can go cook for me. So like that argument, I feel like was out of the 9 minutes or whatever this debate, that 30-second, 20-second argument was pretty okay.
So you guys are taking it as she's in the kitchen for me rather than women belong in the kitchen?
So no,
I said the woman. I said
Yeah,
the woman.
you did, but you were arguing
listened.
that point a lot with her. It's like you're still in the kitchen making mac and cheese. It's like, yeah, I'm in there for like 30 minutes a week, bro. Like I'm not. My duty is not. My moral duty is not that. And if I'm going to turn around and make more money, that motherfucker can piss off. I'll get divorced. I'm not. This isn't good for me. So no, thank you. And I think that was okay as the materialistic argument, but put in a way that was rather entertaining, I guess.
I've never seen more simps.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Hey.
Oh, give me
Never in my
a
life
break.
seen so many.
Oh, my God.
I expect this from Anson because Anson's king simp, and we all
Well, you
know
know.
it.
I'm going to brush my teeth after watching that. Oh,
I got to be honest.
Give me a
well,
break.
I thought it was I thought it was funny, honestly, but I can't really. No, I actually think Abe made great arguments. I think that he said, "Hey, this is the way that the prompt is you're going to be in the kitchen. Why wouldn't you be in the kitchen?" And he made good arguments for that. You're going to be cooking. You're going to be cleaning. You take care of the kids. We've got a lot of things to be done that need to be done. I think that worked out pretty well for Abe. I didn't really hear anything from Kel, and I thought Kel was very funny. I didn't hear anything except, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. Which is an L in and of itself, because the prompt was that you would be doing it. But at any rate, I don't know. The whole thing was a fucking L. Anson, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Anson, but that's okay.
You're welcome.
He did Anson shit tonight, which is weird.
Coom Emperor.
Yeah.
it
Actually,
was entertaining. I had fun watching it.
I had fun watching some of it.
Kel, I just wanted to say that I'm sure that you're going to make your ex-husband very happy one day.
Thank you. I don't plan on getting married. I'm an infertile monster.
That's
Workaholic.
Even more frightening. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Catch you at TwitchCon. Gang gang.
Interesting.
I'm kidding. Lol.
Which part are you kidding about? Sorry.
None of it.
All of it?
None of it.
None
All
of it? Yeah, all right. Anyway, Abe, good to have you here, man. I'm sorry you had to endure that.
For fun. It's all about the fun, man.
I think this is Anson's way of saying that the last show was too serious, and he didn't have any fun, and so he wanted to, he needed to keep himself entertained. And
no, I had to finagle it so the broad would win.
Yeah, what is it with you and look,
a lot of woke judges here apparently. A lot of woke judges. That's what we're known
Look, Grid. I have
being real woke over here.
I scored not. I didn't say woke. I said simp.
Simp judges. That's what they're known for at the Grid show. Simp judging.
So
yeah, apparently simps. We're gonna have to do some investigation. There'll be investigations around here into the simp.
Yeah.
Not fun. Try me.
Grid, I use a scoring rubric. Kel got 15 points and Abe got 14. It was really close.
Neck and neck. It was. We had a silly topic.
It was though.
Right.
Well, I feel bad for Abe, but according to Grid, our criteria are both of these nuts. That's how we decided. I guess that's what's happening. We're simping. No, Abe, I definitely gave you a lot of points for like stepping in there on there. I didn't feel like you wanted to do that, but you're like, fuck it, YOLO, I'll do this because
why not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and so I definitely gave you points there. I just this was a meme debate, and I guess you made me laugh slightly more. I don't know. It was funny overall, so
It was funny.
I don't know what
I'm
to
going to give you funny. Funny is exactly what it was.
Good. We gave people comic relief.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Please.
Entertaining interactions for sure. Y'all
Yeah. I'm going to bring the two
ladies and
presidents back out just because they've been sitting there just peacefully minding their own business, hanging out.
I gotta head to bed. I'm falling asleep over here.
I am too, man. I'm going to bed too. I got to get up and I'm gonna get up and go. Probably
Who joins, they leave.
I'll probably get up at like 5. And well, what time is it?
All right. Well, I have to leave the show. I'm going to do some other things here. So this was very fun. Thank you for having me. Let me judge today, Grid. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it a lot.
No way. Leave me
It was
alone.
nice to be able to judge.
Good evening again, Gibbs. Thanks for Gibbs. You want to do something after?
Yeah, possibly. Let me get organized here in the next 5
Okay,
minutes,
yeah, cool.
and I'll let Grid close out his thing. But
Yeah,
thank you for having me, Grid.
You Texas guys go do stuff.
Hey, Grid, you want me to
Congrats,
set up
Cal.
a stream real quick, and then you can raid me, and we can do an after party?
Yeah, do that.
All right. Yeah, I'll pop one up right now.
I'm live on YouTube also, by the way.
Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
need to
peace
figure out
out.
how to dual stream. I just started on.
I appreciate you hanging out, man. Send me your info. I'll send you the whatever few dollars that we made tonight.
Oh yeah.
Your percentage of it. Same with you, Kel. You
all good.
And
Chat, get your donos up. I'm like, and I don't know, you're good. I'm like, support the stream. I'm like, support small creators, okay? Support your local artists. Support the AK-47 decor, okay? Hey,
Wait, if we can ditch the YouTube, yeah, we can get all 100% on AK-47 stream.
proud to be an American.
You gotta know if you're gonna salute you. No, hold Kel. Just it's gonna irritate the piss on me. You got to keep everything straight in a line. If you're gonna salute, no, not like this.
Right
Like this.
to me, gladly stand up.
Not like this. Like this. Just straight in line. Don't like kank your wrist on it. There you go. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's still horrible, but it's better.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a beer run. Nice to meet you guys.
Deuces.
Have a great night.
All right, Grid, I'm up if you want to rate me.
All right, see you guys. See ya. See ya, everybody.
All right, y'all. After a night of getting hoed by Tyler, I'm gonna bid y'all adieu. Gonna right into Gibbs. It's been a blast. Thanks for sitting through this madness. I don't know how he talks me into these things. Oh, I'm in for the night, Mando. It's been fun. I got hoed. I definitely won that debate, but it's got to be what it is. We need a recount. Jedediah was in the moonshine, 10 toes deep, 10 toes down, and getting hoed by Tyler. What's good? Peace, y'all. Catch you next time.